Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. With me today, after 8 minutes of trying to figure out why I could hear my own voice, Grand Dookie, Vashiren, Evernight, Paragon, Double Assassin, the defender of the one true droplet. How are you doing?
Let's go.
Oh, that was rough. That was rough.
Just keeping the audience on the edge of their seat.
Yeah.
Dramatic tension.
Right. You know, you take it away from them and they want it more, right?
Yeah, the magician has to shuffle the deck first. It's all about building that anticipation of the trick.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get to the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Still, I would like to know how long you've been playing Amtgard.
So I've known about Amtgard for about 10 years. And I started when I was 18. Jogging on a college campus, like doing my workout, and I saw people with foam sticks, and I was like, I didn't think that was actually real. And like, I've been waiting my entire life for this moment. Like in this moment, I become everything I ever wanted to be. And then I was super concerned because I approached them and I was really worried someone was going to be like, you can't touch that, you know? And then like, but really inviting. And then that started the whole thing. And then I joined the military. So I had to stop for a few years. I got injured. Got out, tried to do the school trip. Every time I ran out of money, because nice American college, I drove big rigs, and so each of those times I basically had to stop foam because it just wasn't actionable. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing probably around 6 years active, and I've known the game for about 10.
Okay. All right, that's quite the story, and also thank you for your service because we got to do that here on KOK.
Yes,
we're not repping if we don't. So you also kind of mentioned what got you interested because you just felt like this is what life was always meant to be. But it sounds like you were working out. So were you an athlete before you started playing Amtgard?
Yeah, I played sports my whole life growing up. I started playing soccer when I was 4, and that was my first sport. And I was always, I've tried pretty much every modern American sport that they would offer at a country school. So there's no like lacrosse or anything in the South because they can't afford that. Yeah. But, we got a rugby club like my last 2 years. And that was like of high school. And so I did that because I like to try everything. Mm-hmm. But I basically just settled on like soccer and football, and then football changed to rugby. And then wrestling my senior year was really fun. Sweet. And those were all the sports that I went for. And then in college, I just stayed with it because it's what I knew. And then military, obviously, that's like half the job.
Yeah. Okay. So now we would like to know a little bit of where you got your persona from.
So you're going to love this. I already know. If you can't tell, hold on, I'm a very serious LARPer. Mm-hmm. So Vashiren is Vash the Stampede with an Aaron slapped on it because it sounded fantasy. Mm-hmm. And Evernight is because they used to roleplay blood elves, and they named themselves like 2 words that sound edgy because they're elves. And so I just kind of slapped that in there when I was like 18. And I was like, that'll work because I was going to play assassins since the start. I wore like a ninja gi for like with the mask and like Tennessee 100-degree heat and humidity, like my whole first 2 years. And because I was just like, I'm totally in it for the fashion. And I remember taking that gi off 2 years in, kind of shedding my pure flurb skin. Yeah. And then like there was a person at the court when I took it off to eat, because I used to wear it even when we were like eating, and I would just have like a plate of food in front of me and I just wouldn't touch it. Sometimes I'd like lift the fork and like let it like corn fall off the mask, but you got to stay true to the character. And I remember the greatest moment for me was like 2 years in, some of the people I'd seen every event for those 2 years introduced themselves to me. And I was like, mission accomplished.
I'm aware, but thank you.
Right. Yeah, it is nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I do love that. That's persona building in Dragon's Spine is something we're pushing for a lot, to have someone sit there and not eat feast and let the corn dribble off their mask. Yeah.
It's just a different type of eating, Kodiak. Just a different like version.
Okay. All right. So the next bare necessity question is, what award or achievement are you most proud of receiving?
Defender, 100%.
Okay. You said 100%, so there's got to be a reason behind it.
Hold on one sec. Let me see if I can actually, there we go. because it looks like that.
Oh, sick.
Right? I know it's a little weird screen reflection, but like
well,
one of my best friends in real life made it. And actually, Defender and Paragon Assassin were the only two awards that I ever actually like. I'm probably just gonna put that down and not do that while talking. That sounds like loud crashing sounds inevitably in the background. But and see, that's how you know you like grew up a little bit through the years. It's about as smart as I am. Smart enough to know I'm dumb. And like, but no, like Paragon Assassin was just like, because I literally joined and like ordered a gi off Amazon. Like boom, immediately, first day. Went home and read the rule books in my eyes bled and ordered a gi with a ninja mask. And then just upgraded that through those first few years. But I knew I wanted that. But after I got that achievement, I really wanted something that was more like game tangible, because that was all just kind of like a me and a Flurby type thing. And Defender was really that goal just because it sounded flipping awesome. And they also let us like have a little, my other tunic has it, instead of like the Winter's Edge snowflake and the droplet, you get to replace that with a sword. And I was like, well, you just can't say no.
No, you can't. That's great. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad that you also mentioned the Paragon Assassin, because I mean it is part of your announcement title. But that does lead us to a caveat question we had here from Stillhat about what is your favorite title that you have earned?
Oh, haven't or have? Oh,
have.
sorry.
Have.
Oh,
sorry.
title. Sorry, was that? Did I miss that one? I was thinking Defender into that bunch.
Well, okay. Maybe unique title.
Oh, I don't know if I've gotten.
I mean, is the one true droplet a very common title in Neverwinter?
Oh, the true droplets, like because I basically meme on my own name, and so we had a wetlands discussion, we'll call it, because we haven't had the war yet. We just kind of talk about it for years, which I imagine is like how really most wars go. We're more in the Cold War. We kind of yell at them, they yell at us part, and so we'll see in 20 years if we actually duke it out or not. But they also have a droplet on their symbol, and so basically when I was coming on here, I thought it'd be really funny to just say the finish, so just to flex at a bunch of wetlands people that like I have no problem with, but maybe they'll tune in just because they're like, he said he's not.
No.
And then they would be right. Like, it's not even official. I just said it.
Oh man. Well, you got me, because I was like, I looked through your orc again and I'm like, I don't see this anywhere. Is this?
Yeah. Well, because like I figure once you're a defender of a kingdom, you can pretty much just say what you want, because you're like the defender of the kingdom. Like, who's gonna challenge me? There's like two others in the whole kingdom, right? So it's like they gotta come challenge me, everything. So you can claim you defend any part of the kingdom at any time. You just make the rules as you go.
All right.
I sit on a circle, the COD, the Circle of Defenders, which is like me and one other dude currently. So we always tie vote, so it always just passes, anyways.
I love it. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep these questions going here, but just keep memeing if you need to. Morgan would like to know, what's your favorite battle game?
So I'm actually a battle game maker. It's probably like the thing I take the most pride in as what I consider a craft side. Because after I got out of the military, my hands shake, so I can't really like craft with like my hands and like and I'm one of those people, if I do something, I want to do it to the max. So like if I couldn't get a master level work completed at some point, I just don't want to do it. And the battle game is, I like personally any what I call high octane competitive battle game, which really utilizes V8. It would not even have worked in any other version because of the timers, but it's literally just like when I made battle games as champion, I told people like, you're going to play 2 to 3 battle games during an event day. And if you're not dead by the end of it, I failed at my job.
Okay.
And then not complicated. That's another segue just for all the battle game makers out there. Battle games are different than like quest setups and stuff. Just have 2 rules. Hold yourself to 2 special rules. Don't try to reinvent a wheel. And just something you can dossier out in a paragraph to your players is like the way to go, because they're going to be looking at butterflies after the first paragraph anyways.
Butterflies are nice.
Oh, they're so pretty.
All right. So when you're playing these battle games, what's your favorite class to play?
I currently like Warrior, and I'm actually a pretty sweaty online gamer. So I say I like Warrior. I do not believe it is the best thing to play. I don't believe anything Marshall's the best. So like if I want to be meta, like I want to win a game, probably gonna rock like Druid, so I can literally just be any class I want.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so that would be like meta, Druid, enjoyment. I put on my leather kit and just rock like warrior. Because assassin is really fun, but like I felt like I'd played that video game so much, I put it down after I got my Paragon basically.
Yeah.
I wanted to, insert disc 2.
For sure. Okay. Druid is the right answer, of course, to favorite class. I mean, it does whatever you want it to do. And I also like that's my favorite class, right? And I put it down. I'm playing monster now because I want to do a thing with my storyline, and it's like, yeah, but Druid, yeah, but story.
I feel like that's the true hidden nerdness in us.
Yeah.
It's like I did the same thing because I had the story where I was the ninja, and then my knight was actually the monarch when I was champion, because I did like a whole year's champion, then monarch. So I was champion under him for a year. So I literally was like, well, you can't like hire the because I was like the only Paragon assassin at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when we were still Principality under Neverwinter. So it was like a big deal to even get one of those like handed out, and they were much rarer because of that inherent. You just can't give them yourself. And so I was like, but you're not going to like have like the main assassin weed killer in your, court. So then I had to go so all my stuff's Eastern based. So then I went samurai, and that's where actually warrior came in. And then I was like, oh, I actually like this class, but I literally was like, well, I got to be a warrior now. Can't be a ninja in the court.
Well, we appreciate the switch though. When you're in these battle games and you're playing these classes, Sir Alucard would like to know, what is your favorite weapon combo?
So if I'm martial, if I'm warrior, one of the main reasons I love Amp Guard is because you can get a little bit wacky with the classes, and it's not a pure you can just go unmeta and make it work type of thing. There's definitely metas in all the builds and combos. But my favorite thing is when I run leather warrior, I run a Florentine, because from my tournament perspective fighting mode, I basically am wearing 3 points of sectional slough, which means I don't have to even engage most people on the field that aren't wearing armor, especially down here where it's hot. So I can just walk at them and hug them with 2 swords, and that'll about kill anyone or any enchantment. So I just win. And so like definitely favorite. The only time you'll ever see me Florentine is when I put a purple sash on.
Oh, okay. All right. Flow's my favorite. I'm trying really hard to learn sword and board right now, but
just depends on if it's punch or strap.
Well, I do both. I have a little baby punch that I use when I'm doing the punching, and then I have a turtle for when I'm actually like strapped up. But whatever. Let Morgan and Harkin talk about that.
We can't stay on this too long. The stick jocks will be like, what are they talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. Where's the warlord? I want to see you.
Left-handed fighting. What?
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so those are the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Let's get to the 3 questions KOK viewers have been asking since episode 1. It's episode 76, so it's been a minute of these questions. Sir Alucard has delivered Sir Glenalth's toaster. How do you feel about Sir Glenalth getting a soda maker?
I'd be for it.
Okay, all right, okay.
I think, like anything that, production goods.
Production goods, yeah.
You can do so much with that.
All right. Stillhead would like to know, who or what is your favorite bear?
Well, obviously it's a Kodiak.
Hey, you know what?
Sorry. Oh, wait, no, go ahead and give me the compliment because I might ruin it. So I was
compliment.
Now I don't know.
No. I was gonna count the points, but
I was just going to say, unless it's the polar bear, but only when it's on that delicious wrapping of chocolate and ice cream, and I know I'm about to get into that. And I can't even remember what they're Klondike bars. That's it.
All right.
That'll sway a vote.
So Morgan, unless you are made of Klondike bars or you yourself wear Klondike bars, I'll take the points for this one. Still had no points for you at all. So that puts me up by like 4,400 or something like that in the total scores, but no one's counting. Anyways, what are your thoughts on Dragonspine getting a mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
Why is it even a question? I haven't done it.
Well, I mean,
just do it.
How do you fund it?
Exactly. Just do it. Like, why? Fund it. Let's go. Why don't we have one yet? I want to visit that. That sounds amazing.
So Redbeard a few episodes ago suggested maybe doing a Men of Dragonspine calendar.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Like you have to like do it like a fireman's calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like like a tunic, but it's just like strapped here and like holding the sword and like just really ridiculous flex positions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We got another person that agrees to it. I think this is just what's going to happen. All right. So those are the 3 questions KOK viewers have been asking the whole time. Let's get to your actual questions. And we're going to start with my new favorite question. What is your weirdest flex?
Is it raining outside? Or no. Am I sweating? No, it's just raining outside. You fools could never make me sweat.
Well, okay. All right. Deverick, if you're listening, we need to steal that. Still, I would like to know, do you arts and science? You kind of already mentioned that you do as far as battle games go. Is there any that you've dipped into otherwise, maybe sword building?
I've tried a little bit of everything. I've actually never got into the foam. Like, it's funny. I've tried all the things that are more medieval just for interest and knowledge of learning. Because I actually have judged a lot of ANSs because I know the historic value or like what properties should exist. And I always tell people it's like I've always been highly interested in this entire like period of time and also fantasy. So it's one of those like I could teach. It's like I always imagine the ballet teacher, right? Who's a guy, like older guy. I can't do it, but I could tell you like how it should be done or grade it. And, when it actually comes to the actual equipment we use though, my motto was always like, I could try to make a sword, or I could pay some of these guys that have done 1,000 swords and just get the perfect sword. So I'm going to just do that.
Okay. Fair enough. Lightning from Iron Mountains would like to know, what's your favorite garb that you own?
It's actually this tunic I'm wearing right now. My girlfriend made it for me. I'll marry her someday, but she made this, and like the main reason I'll actually show, just because like what the cool part is actually these parts right here. So it's all a 2-tier tunic, and we actually call it like a lotus blossom tunic that she came up with like the design. And it's because I move my legs a lot when I shoot, and I like just how I move. And so every time I take a step, and especially as like a lefty in pictures and stuff, when I lean or I level change, it makes that individual petal flare out. So it looks like a flower opening up on pictures and video.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's awesome. So outside of the amazing garb that your girlfriend is making for you, what's the coolest garb you've ever seen?
Coolest garb I've ever seen. So it wouldn't be something that I would wear per se, because I'm a very, very like monotone. Like, can't tell. Like these are my own colors. It's just black and white and like very limited design. But from a cool factor, Fiddles, made from Winter's Edge, made Tisco's tunic, which has like the feathers and everything going down it. I believe it's like it was based on like an owl design, but a brown with like but it was just the intricate, like it's so crazy. It's something that like I would never think could be on a tunic. And I know she's worked and talked to like Lady Armstrong about it, and I've always seen that as like pretty much the top of like our games sewing stuff. And any others out there, West Coast stuff, I just haven't seen it, and I apologize. But from my experience Southeast, like that was, because it to me, I look at it and I'm like, that looks like a $1,200 tunic easy. Like it's just so like the individual layers and everything she had to do is just crazy.
Okay. All right. That's great. That's great to hear. We have a question in the chat from Friar Carlos. He would like to know, how do you keep battle games fresh week after week?
So I think it's a really good question, because I found the hardest champion job I ever actually did was park champion. And basically as a battle game maker, you have to evaluate. And the reason park is harder is because it is every week. Whereas Kingdom, I could literally just like whip out like my model walk battle games, the best of the best. And I had all this time to prep for them. And I also roughly know how many people are going to be participating. And so the difficulty for week to week stems, I believe, first from you have to recognize how many people you have, because that's the odd thing about battle gaming is it's a work backwards solution type of thing, and we don't really teach that. And the first thing you look at is just how many people I'm going to have on the field, and then knowing your players. What do my players usually run? So what classes am I expecting? Because Amp Guard makes battle gaming so much harder because you have to basically know your rule book and prep for every eventuality. You can't just put the flag behind a wall because the assassin goes, haha, it's done, game over. I teleported there. And so, you know, whereas in any other Bellegarde, DAG, anything like that, you don't have that to concern. You could just put 2 flags out with 1 special thing and you're done. And that special thing in Amp Guard, not only do you have to evaluate the classes, but then I was always trying to weigh what are those classes, like don't negate anyone's fun. Because I've seen a lot of games designed to basically counter an assassin or a caster. And that at that point, why is that person even there though? Like you're directly negating their fun, because I look at it from that game developer perspective. And so the week to week, once you know those details, right? Is my park 8 people? Is it 30 people? How many of them are actually battle gamers? Then you can design the game off of that. And the way that I actually try to all my battle games, and I tell people is everything that we would run a battle game on has already been done. We already pretty much have ran every type of game through every sport, through every gauntlet, or every media. And so, you know, I always told people, like, take the 2 towers battle. And if you want to recreate that, just look now, how do you take the 2 towers battle and implement Amp Guard? Some dynamite sticks and some castle walls with rope. Someone blows it up, because I actually ran this game, but that's exactly where it came from. So I laid the game out with some easy, like, you know, $20 game, right? Had some rope. I had different sections. I gave them dynamite. I said, you get to choose where you blow the castle wall up. After you blow it up, game stops. We'll go into phase 2 of the game. Now that's the hole in the wall that you get to use to breach through. So players get some choice mechanic. They get to choose, basically evaluate which side of this wall do we want to boast open, because there were advantages and disadvantages spots. And then, and I think, I don't mean to take too long on this question, but that freedom for players, was what was really important to me. And battle gamers, we are trying to make something to create fun, but fun comes from risk. It comes, the same reason we fight is because we might win or we might die. And I see a lot of battle gamers try to negate basically all players' ability to fail so that they can have fun. But that's the same problem that casual MMOs run into right now. So like that castle battle game, I didn't realize at the start, but I think it's a good example to point out, is that there were definitely really bad spots to plant your dynamite. And they were actually the easier spots for the team to get to, that they naturally be like, oh, we could totally get right there and blow that open. But that, in my opinion, as a battle gamer myself, would have been a mistake, but they could do it. And then they could realize that. And that's part of the fun is, oh, wow, we really did blow it. It's the same as when your mid laner dives and then they're just like, yeah, I kind of threw that. You know, but you got to have the opportunity to have the success stories.
All right. Yeah, I would also say be careful of your timing. So I tried to do a Tri-Wizard tournament in a Harry Potter reign at my local park, and I made penalties for not getting riddles correct 30 seconds. But if you took the penalty for all of the times and then were able to do the single sword, double sword, sword and board, and shoot an arrow relatively well, it was still the quicker way to do it. So I had players coming up to me and go, I'm not answering your stupid riddle. I'm not answering your stupid riddle. I'm not answering your stupid riddle. Fail 3 times, get the 30-second penalty, and move on. And Redbeard loves to tell that story to new players. So watch your time as well. Not about me, though. Vash, let's get back to you. Stillhat would like to know, what's your personal heraldry?
So it's actually this the shuriken here. And it actually, like, the other award on my wall right next to me is my Paragon Assassin Award. And it was made for me with that same shuriken design. It's just blown up. And I was just looking at it. You know what? No, that one's a bigger frame. I was thinking about it and I was like, But pretty much everything I wear was given to me, because like that heraldry was just made because they put haikus on the different points of the shuriken.
Okay.
And so my friend Avi made it for me, the guy who actually like recruited me into the game. He was that person I approached that first day I came in.
Okay.
But and it was just, I just saw it and I was like, well, that's me now. Like, that's my personal heraldry. Like, I've stolen your trademark brand that you gave me, basically. Like, it was the whole, like, it was literally my entire aesthetic is defined by the meme that it's like, I made this, hold it. And then I'm like, I made this. This is mine.
I love it. So all I need to do is start giving you stuff, and then I can watch your character. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Like, I've literally put nothing into my character myself. Aside, like, the one thing I decided was I'm Eastern, I'm a ninja, and then from there I was like a blank. I'm a color palette slate, and it's just like, artists, draw me like one of your French ninjas.
Yes. Okay. All right. I have a question from Cato. You're a stick jock, so this may pique your interest here a little bit. I didn't mean to tell anyone. Cato would like to know how you feel about back shields for version 9.
I'd be totally fine with it. I think anything that develops that equipment basis are awesome, as long as we it's always first rule safety, second rule fun. Okay. And so if someone, because the thing is that, like, abilities I'm much more stringent on. I basically follow the if something's overpowered, then everyone has to be incredible style, right? When we talk about version abilities, because Amtgar is the only specific game there, but when it comes to equipment, which is that separate logic vein for me, I'm just like, open it up, because anyone that could complain is just because they don't want to fight against it, because they don't know how.
That's fair. I mean, as someone who doesn't want to fight against it, but I don't know how to fight against a flail or a pole arm either.
Yeah, they're not people either. So, like,
Beatrix, did you hear that? You're not a person.
They're not. But also, like, the thing is like, I remember pole arms being said that, like, they're not people. But the thing is that I haven't seen a lot of pole arm people realize, because this is what I do when I pick up a pole arm, because it's like one of my favorite, like, hidden, like, talent things is, if you're not people, then you do not have to feel shame for how you handle that weapon. So you can just go out and gut people all day. Don't be like total jerk. But if I just chunk stab someone with a good stab and they give the and I'm just like, hey, I'm not people. I don't have to care. Like, I can't feel shame. I'm not a person. They told me that. People feel shame. I do not. I'm an entity carrying a pole arm. I'm just a force of nature passing through the field.
Fair enough. Okay, you got me. That's fair. I don't know how you expect this not to be 3 hours long at this point.
I was here for it. Okay. When I tuned into the other one, it was going on. So I was like, man, we shot through those first questions quick. I was like, oh man.
So Cato always asks this question as a follow-up to the V9 sword and board. To flurb or not to flurb?
To flurb.
To flurb, okay.
But caveat, asterisk, fine print at the bottom for the lawyers, as long as it does not come at the cost of some other player's fun.
Okay. Okay. Do you got an example that you can give without naming names, or?
It's just any of those times that, like, there's, we're all social outcasts. That's like what we get attracted to in this game. We're the ones that didn't click in all the regular cogs. And the thing is the baggage from that is sometimes, it's that whole, everyone thinks they're the hero in the story when we're really all just side characters for each other.
Sure.
And so falling into that hero or protagonist fallacy in a battle game, or it's look at me mentality and stuff, that comes at the detriment of your other players, which is, I've seen people that will overhog quest storylines when they, someone makes a whole quest and there's not a lot that we can put into it in our game. We're not funded or anything. So, but they're just like, I'll do this. No, I'll do it. And like, to them, they're like the beacon of the party, when in reality, everyone else is just getting to do nothing while they do all the fun stuff. So that's what I've always said. Like, that's when you can flurb too hard, or the, classic dark brooding character in the corner. But it's like, yo, bro, if your character like wouldn't play with the party, then why are you in a party?
Right. Yeah.
Like, we need you in the fight.
Okay. That makes sense. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the new stuff that came up from the last Circle of Monarchs meeting that kind of ties into it, not necessarily hand to hand, but kind of ties to it. Zana would like to know, are there any rain themes that you want to see?
Ooh. So I would like someone to pull off a good Game of Thrones scene. but I don't know if the player base, it's one of those, like all the ones I've thought of is my concerns have always been like, can the player base embrace the theme idea?
Mm-hmm.
Because Game of Thrones is that we are basically backstabbing each other, but in good fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if it falls into click wars, it's no longer good fun. We basically forgot the original. We basically became the parody that forgot it was a parody at that point.
Sure.
And then personally, I just gotta say it. I've always wanted to do a Starship Troopers reign. Service equals citizenship, baby. Let's go. If you don't serve, you don't get to sit in the front of court. I don't care. You gotta serve this. You gotta make a citizen. You gotta become a citizen. So I've always wanted to do that, but just minus like fascist propaganda, obviously.
Yeah, but everyone just becomes cannon fodder.
Yeah. Oh, that was like literally because like my champion theme was that like we had a civil war in Winter's Edge, and the last like every event I would do regular battle games, and at the end we would have a choose battle, and it was literally like I did not care if there was 10 people on one side and 50 on another. You got to literally choose who you wanted to fight for, and like in a video game, but they never really let you do it. And I was like, I don't care, we're gonna do it. So one of them was, should pineapple be on pizza or not? We had a war. We had a legitimate kingdom event war over that. And then another one was a civil war at like it was actually an event we made in like a month because someone tried to assassinate my knight who was the king at the time, and I was champion. They tried to assassinate him. So then I just said like, well, I'm going to come and take your head RP wise, but like, we're going to go to your park now. And we literally in a month made like a 75 person event and like went to their park to kill them. But like literally they, their side was offering stuff for people to fight for them. And of course everyone's like, well, Chase, what are you offering? And I'm like, dude, the monarchy offers you like standard rations and pay. The fact that you get to serve as a crown enforcer is all you should need. And if you can't live with that, then I don't want you.
Wow. I love it. So we're going to get to the tough questions at the end, but I might as well get the answer now. Should pineapple be on pizza?
No, it should not. We lost that war. I have to accept that it is because we lost that war, but it should not still. God, it was the only one I lost. That Civil War we had, by the way, like there's a video online. It was like, because it was like 20, 23 people against like 45, 50. And we still pulled that out after like literally a 35-minute exhaustion battle that wasn't supposed to go that long. And like, but like the one battle I lost where I was like one of the teams I picked, like was the pineapple. And the freaking, my regent, who's the one who made that award I showed, she was the one that basically, because this is when I was Monarch, we ran that. And the whole theme with me as Monarch was that I was Tyrant Vash, and like one of my proudest moments was that I told them that once again as a meme, like the title thing when I went to clan, and they literally printed all the name cards out for the desks, and mine said Tyrant Vashiren, and like everyone else had like Emperor and like King and Queen, and I just like I literally still have that printout in my like awards folder because I was like, they bought it. And so she was the regent that always undermined me. And then she went for like freaking Taco Bell. And the general wasn't even at the battle when it took place. And our team won. And I was so salty. I was like, you didn't even show up, because she came back. She's like, oh my God, we won. Pineapple should be on pizza. I'm like, you weren't even there. You literally were the general of the army. And you went to Taco Bell.
And I mean, did it matter? The general wasn't there.
A piece of pineapple on pizza. Yeah. It was terrible in front of the whole court. My shame.
I'm just saying the chat is in favor of pineapple on pizza.
That's okay. The chat has the right to be wrong, and I respect that.
I love that you said that because that's one of my favorite sayings. You have the right to be wrong. It's so good. All right, Morgan would like to know, what's your favorite Amtgard event?
So there was one in Winters. So like to me in my southeastness, where I played, there was a Crystalline Chronicles event, and it actually ended on my reign. Was the last year they want to do it. They went on for like 8 years, but I would say that one's my favorite event, just because it showed me like that things can go on more than one time, and that consecutive events can be really cool. And because like people traveled, and then we would still like, even now I still hear stories from CC from people that like live across the country in foam. And so my favorite event, that's our version, but my favorite event is anyone like that, where a team consecutively just performs this event. And it's like, because CC was its own flavor, which is like, it was like specifically a quest oriented and it went through different evolutions, but always maintained that. And it's those ones that are separate of like keep and clan and stuff. Like those are just, they're so big they can't die type of things, it feels like. But they're almost just an amalgamation. And definitely respect to the people who run those because the amount of numbers. But from that, individual point of view of like a kingdom holds this event. So any kingdom that's running stuff like that, or any team and the teams that are on it that can make them live year after year and still like become almost a part of that kingdom's lore and history. Those are like the coolest things to me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to kind of expand on that because Kenjin wants to know, what does your perfect Amtgard event look like?
Oh man, I feel like it's just like, this is like the one time, right, where it's not the Mimi cheese answer, but it's just everyone's there for the foam and the fun. I feel like we get lost, the devil's in the details, man. We get lost in that stuff so much. Did you hear what that group did, or can you believe they're talking about this award? And just like, man, we forget why we came out day one.
Well, you're not even going to take an opportunity to get revenge on the people who want pineapple on pizza by having your perfect event be that World War II of
they
toppings.
Earned it, man. They earned it. Like I've always been like I'm a closed book guy, right? Like they fought it, they won the battle. Like I'm not gonna go back, and especially because what if I lost, right? Like on the side, like that's like I Napoleoned off the island and re-lost the war. Like
right.
I don't know if I can handle that one
for sure.
It's the whole like you play a VR, you win round one, you stop, your record's perfect. If you never play again, you can't lose.
All right. I mean, your record is 0 in the Pineapple Wars.
So I'm just like, I don't want to keep presenting that percentage because the other one is I can always just say, yeah, I lost that one. Statistically, it's bound to happen. You repeat that though. Now it's not statistic. The outlier is I suck.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, the Pineapple people can ask you how the rain is in a sunny day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that was sweat, son. Oh.
The funniest part about that, Joe?
What's that?
Well, actually, so you would know is that like I sweat an abnormal amount. If I was a superhero, I would be like sweat man. So like every time I say that comment on the field with people like just joking around, I am like especially now in the summer, I'm like it is like my shirt's a different color, and I'm like, you couldn't make me sweat.
It's just
you would be like amazed the amount that I like, the sheer amount of sweatiness that's like possessed.
Oh,
like,
I can't wait.
True sweaty gamer.
Oh, I want it. I want to see it so bad because I want to see you say it while it's like dripping off your face.
Yeah, like because like I'm all about like self-deprecating and like the reverse type of humor. So that's like the only time I ever say it is when I know I'm at like maximum sweat value. Like I can't even say it without like sweat like falling from my eyebrows, and I'm like, you couldn't make me sweat. And then like the other person, like the one person like doesn't get it, is like looking at their friend like he's literally sweating carnage.
He could very easily fall over and die right now.
There is more sweat than man. What is he talking about? And you just have to like look, and it's always with this face, right? You couldn't make me sweat, Kodiak. Look like the freaking Key and Peele man. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like, yeah, he's just. And it's just like, that's me. I'm just like, yeah, no, not this is rain.
This is rain. Okay. All right. Okay. Zana would like to know.
What? Slowly crack. Episode 76 is just like the one where it's like,
yeah.
You can tell coming in. I know I just blindsided you. Like it seemed like it was going to be so serious. I know. I took advantage of your trust.
Yeah. No, I didn't know from our chats inside of our post that this was just going to be a giant meme in itself.
Nope. Totally serious phone.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. This is like having Goldcrest on at this moment.
Oh God.
Which I did.
That was my man, dude.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
He's so great. He's great. Anyways, Zana would like to know, what Amtgard achievement or project are you currently working on?
So currently, I pretty much just went back to the phone path because I did politics for a while, and it just kind of went sour for me personally, and like just how I felt about like the game from that perspective. And so I was kind of like, well, I'll put my pound of meat on the altar, so like my dues are paid. And I'm just going to go back to that day one thing I was talking about. And it's because I kind of like just lost, like I was going to events, and like for a while I was literally years I was paying to work. Basically I would pay the event costs, and then I would work the event. And like I don't care about awards personally. Like I think like if you hand them to me, cool, there's some validation from my peers, but like I don't strive for like that thing. And so like that wasn't the motivator for me. So basically all I was living off of was like how fun was it. And like I feel like the more those years drag, we all kind of like it does wear on you. And because I realized I've forgotten, especially over COVID, like why I played the game. So I just switched back to the foam path. So now I'm just a stick jock meme with my sunglasses, and I'm just rolling with that. And I'm just trying to see if I can win some kingdom tourneys just for the heck of it.
Okay. All right. I mean, you are Master Crown now, so I mean that
they tell me that, I guess.
I mean, it's there.
Gotta count it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, someone handed you something. It's part of your persona now.
It was also when they did the changeover, so there's like 11 awards. And like they're like, here you go. And I was like, cool. Let's just take all that. Let's just put that in the jacket here. All right, see ya.
Wait a minute. I never played Monster. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. So that question leads into Morgan's question, which is just your long-term goals.
Just, I think at this point for me personally, like I know there's people that played a lot longer than me, but like I really just throw myself like 100% in anything I do. And so like when I was doing politics and stuff, like it was like 20 hours, credit schools, which is like the max to let you take here, and then foam. And like there was a while where like every weekend my girlfriend and me would travel, and I'm literally living off of like the bank account and the military, and then her teacher pay to travel to events and like promote our kingdom. Because when I was champion, we were trying to become a kingdom. Then I was monarch. I was the first like full term monarch for a year. And then so it was just foam, but it was all trips. And just I literally like I drove to Keep. The only time I've ever been to Keep is I drove to Keep all the way there. It's about like 8 hours. I paid $70 for me and my girlfriend to get in. I went to court. I handed out an award because it was important to me to give that award. Like I don't regret going. Like I specifically went on the trip to give that award, and then I got in my car and I left and drove another 8 hours. And like so that was like the only time I've been to Keep, and I was there like 2 hours just to give the award for court and roll out. And so like there was just so much time dedicated to foam, like in that perspective, that nowadays like the long-term goal for me is just to kind of embrace the day one factor, and just like see how many new people I can find and just be like, hey, here's this cool thing, how do you like it, let's be friends.
Let me steal parts of your persona and make it my own.
Right. As long as they give they're just like, hey Chase, hold on to this part of my persona I was thinking about. And I was like, what do you mean? This is mine. This is my part.
This is
my persona. You can't use that. It's mine.
That's been my persona the whole time.
I uniquely made that piece of art in mine.
All right. Damon Abali would like to know, are you excited to be playing in person again?
Like, yeah, I think like, so at this point in the game, and if we're talking about COVID in the game sense here, like if you're vaccinated and all that, and we have Delta going on and everything, like I was a combat medic in the military, and I specialized in biological warfare and preparedness. So like my basic takeaway is at this point, like you just accept the risks and you roll with it. And so from that perspective, like I'm glad to be in person. I definitely think the perfect foam is a hybrid of what we learned, which is virtual and foam. So I think COVID definitely taught us, and like what we were talking about before we actually went live, the virtual aspect, like there's 100% value there. And I think like my biggest fear would be that we would just convert back to, yes, 3 years ago amp card, and then just like leave in the dust all the knowledge we gained. And like how many people, because like one of the things I've heard talk about foam since I joined 10 years ago and still said today is that whole someone doesn't come to park for a week and then it becomes 2 weeks and then you never see them again. And basically recruitment is not, I've heard a lot of people say, but actually I've always thought it was false, is recruitment is not hard in amp card, retention is. And retention where you can still peg that person during the week or during the weekend with the park stuff because maybe they just have life going on, still maintains their interest. So my biggest fear is that we'll basically lose the value that of the virtual that we've already succeeded. We've already built our foundation, but it's just, do we just let it then fall back to the wayside and go, oh, we're all in person now? And so I think we did what we had to do to make it, but the best medium is that hybrid. It's in person and virtual coexisting.
Sure.
We live off of both.
Absolutely. So I have a question in the chat, but I want to ask, and I'm going to put you in the spot here. You've judged arts and science. You've judged arts and science, and you want there to be a hybrid. Do you care if arts and science is judged online?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think it's a get lost in the weeds scenario again. Like we already have problems with in-person judging. Like if in-person judging was perfect, then I would prefer what we know is perfect and gives people their proper warranted scores. But since that is not perfect, it seems strange for us to attack another option that also is just inclusive to our player base. Because it's the same way I view competitive tourneys or anything that has an actual competition bar. And if we cannot assure that it is a fair, I say perfect, but just fair. And I've seen tournaments where that really did break down. Then you can't really restrict other options. And I also think it just increases our ability to see things. Now, I do think in fairness as well, and AmpGuard struggles with that black and white issue of if it's not this side of the spectrum, it has to be this side.
Sure.
And like the truth usually sits in the middle. And so the thing is I also think if we do that, that's good for players, but players also can't try to inch and mile it where there might be certain things that a kingdom says, we literally just can't judge this well at all in an online format. You're going to have to bring it in. And that's fair for them to say. So I can already see on both sides of the coin, though, we're like, all right, we're going to do it. Cool. But then but not on this thing. And then everyone freaks out over here and forgets that they weren't even able to do any of it before.
Yeah. That's probably the best answer you could give for something like that, because there is a reason to have online judging, right? Like there's a purpose. It fits, it makes it work. I know in Dragonspine, and not to take this whole thing from you, but we have players that don't live in New Mexico or Arizona that still credit themselves to Dragonspine. And they're like, I'm not driving from Tennessee to come give you my stuff. Like, you have a medium where you can see my work. If you need the quality of that to be tested, you need to let me know in advance. But yeah, I think it's just an evolution of the game for sure. And
I think, I agree with you. Like we're archaic in a lot of ways that to me as a business, from my business mind, just seem inconsequential. Like if it's always one of our sayings in the business, that I work in is, because I work for Philips International. It's the largest healthcare medical equipment supplier in the world.
Humble brag.
Yeah, just like a weird flex number 27. And but they're a lean company. Definitely things that are not lean about it. But one of the concepts behind that, and the reason I like working for them, is because I agree with that philosophy, which is if I ask you a question and the only answer, because I've actually seen this a ton in AmpGuard, it's not like a rarity, is, well, that's how we've always done it, then your answer is wrong and your way is wrong. And it needs to change. Because if your only validation for a process is that's just how we do it, that's not a validation. That's just traditional archaic holding, which means it probably needs to be updated. And especially with awards, I've heard tons of that. Well, that's just how it's always been done. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean it's right.
I like that. That's a great stance to have. I'm glad that that's recorded so that other people can take a listen to that. You're so wise.
You just repeat it. You're not a left-handed person, right?
I am absolutely left-handed.
Oh, you are lefty? Dang.
Yeah.
Can we find a righty to say it? We're not people. They can't take our advice.
Oh, well, great. That means my shots don't matter. So me spinning all the time is fine.
You spin too?
I spin.
I feel like we're having a stepbrothers moment.
Yeah, we're going to be best friends?
Yeah. Like I spin in 1v1s. Is it? Yeah. Does it do anything? Not really. Does it look cool? Hell yeah.
Yeah. It feels powerful.
Yeah. You got to put, I call it putting sprinkles on the shot,
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to serve you up some ice cream, but the spin's just the sprinkles. And that's the winners.
I mean, I'm 6'3". If I could get a cheat a couple inches in and then also get away by spinning, I'm gonna do it. And
Oh,
I look, I
yeah,
look.
sometimes he gets so committed to the hip wrap that the spin's actually just because I would fall over otherwise.
Goes,
Like the spin was like look flashy, but in reality, I couldn't reset my
I,
body the other way.
yeah, I needed to just stand up. So
Right?
yeah, for sure. Speaking of combat, Josh Crawford is in the chat.
Oh my
Would
God,
like,
Bell, he's my nemesis. He is the
well,
bane of my existence.
wow,
He's
because he calls you Mr. Stick Jock Homie.
Yeah, he well the meme is like Bell has consecutively knocked me out of tournaments for like 5 years running now because of COVID time. But there's been like a 3-year stint, and it held true at the CTL tournament as well. That like I will meet Josh and I will win one of three, and then I will walk to my losers section. Because like the thing I've always mean with him about is like I never want to get like 2-0'd. Like I never just want to get chunked, I want to like put up a fight like a rabid dog, but it's like an 8-pound one. I'm just like, you know. And so like I always take one on him just because I want him to sweat just that little one droplet, and then he's just like murks me, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I just wanted the one droplet. That was the win in my heart.
I just wanted you to know that I was here.
But yeah, he's like consecutive knocking me. Like he's a huge motivator for me to keep on the grind, just by existing and beating me.
Okay, so maybe this question has a little bit more spice on it than I thought. But Josh would like to know, Bell would like to know, how long until you get your Warlord?
When's he quitting the game?
Okay. What, like the week after, right?
Yeah, like immediately the tournament after. Since he apparently is the thing that beats me out of all of them. So if you just didn't show up, Bell, like that tournament. No, like I'm actually no, but like it's serious. Like looking at the question, like I'm trying to put in the time. And before, I kind of relied on just like latent having played sports my whole life, which taught me body awareness. Which, if you know, like body awareness is the first thing in the game. Just and that inherent thing is, for anyone listening, is knowing exactly where you are in space and time without viewing yourself through a motion, a complicated motion. So we know when we stand, we basically know where everything is subconsciously. And body awareness is knowing when you are doing a level change into a feint, into a wrap, where everything is at all times in that. Especially like single sword is a great example of body awareness because it's hand blocks that seem out of nowhere. Or when you've seen great people with hand blocks do like a throw and the hand's already there, right? That's a subconscious muscle memory body awareness. They're putting their hand exactly where they predict their other opponent's blade will go. But they're not consciously thinking move hand here. And so and that comes from putting the time in. And when I was doing all the politics, I would still fight, every week, once a week and all that. But I didn't, what people call the grind, which is like nowadays, for instance, I'm usually at a Bell field or cross gaming, just wherever I can find foam to fight. That's, I do about 3 to 4 times a week now. I'll be out. So it's just Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be fighting. And it's just putting the hours in to get to the goal. So I'm trying to play catch up with all the guys. Like, you think of your Bells, your ATOGs, your, One Grind Nation, Raven, Brett, all these guys, right? And that's time. You gotta put in the hours to match them.
Yeah, we had ATOG here just before COVID hit, just for a visit, and it's different. Right, like that's just a different game. And like we have Shion and Anatole and Sane over here, Xander the Reaper, Morgan is an up and comer. Like we have those fighters, but not experiencing ATOG before. I'm sure the first time anyone fights you, it's the same thing, or it's just like, wow, this is a different world. This is a different level.
Yeah, I would look at it as I like I said, I'm a big gamer. So I think of like there's a very close gap in foam that like you can train to very easily if your interest is in it and you put your mind to it. And early on, like they're very just like they're like broad silver gold leagues, right? Like if you just put in some time, like yeah, that could be your weekly practice, but instead of like chatting, you actually go out to just spar. You'll shoot from like one bracket to the next because that's just individual pockets of people and where their interest basically stops in performance. And then you get to like intermediate and that gap gets like much bigger. And then you get to like Diamond League and the gap's bigger. And then you have those guys that are like your challenger ranked dudes. They're like, in our population statistic, they'd be like your top 25 out of everyone, right?
Mhm.
But they're so far more elite, and that was like a hard realization for me, was that like I'm not going to compete with those guys just going to one weekly practice and never sparring with anyone else, because like I legitimately can't put enough hours in, because it's like looking at ESL gamers, like they do that 8 hours a day, right? And foam isn't that crazy, but you know, you can see videos of those guys just grinding, sparring with each other hours on end. And then if we think about how long do we actually, as a fighter, how often, you know, I would ask anybody that's fighting or want to get better at fighting or enjoys fighting, how often have you ever lined up against one person for more than 20 minutes? Because like you watch those videos, they do that for like an hour, 2 hours. You know, when I go to a field now, people take water. I go and drink, you know, my like 5 sips, and then I find literally that one random person that looks slightly lost and didn't make it to water and top, and I'm like, "Do you want to spar?" And it's just about like just repetitious movements and getting every minute you can.
For
and
sure.
Trying to because I'm trying to catch that challenger rank, and I'm not close currently. You know, I'm working my way there, but knowing those leagues and breaking them down, because I've seen people who shot out for trying, and I think this is what we talk about with like the elephant in the room is always is that path toxic, right? And one of the differences with sword versus every other path, except now we have battle master, which now will fall into this category, but before, sword was the only path that was inherently kind of selfish because it was a me path. Every other path, crafting, you're still doing that into the game. You're providing into the game. Flame, obviously, service to the game. Crown, leadership to the game. Sword was a secular thing. So I think sword definitely had its issues, but I also think probably about 50% of its bad rap was people just not self-actualizing that path is inherently a me path. It is I am going to do a thing that I set out, an achievement for myself. So I'm going to put a lot of time into it. And a lot, not to say that other crafters don't, obviously, like master servants and stuff, but just that like myself, the award is I have to go win the thing, and just and there is no other my joy is taken from my fallen foes. Like, you know, serpent isn't gained by stabbing the other, you know, crafter down, and now you're the dragon master. You know, you beat them in points, but
could it be though?
I mean, if you wanted to like really win, like, you know, like on the side of the stream, you shiv them, you know, like 2 hospital days they missed the event. Like that's a terrible tragedy.
That's just a poor shame.
It reminds me of the shotgun. That's a shame.
So let's talk a little bit more about you in the background. Are you in any fighting companies or households?
Slide away here.
Yeah, just I'll move away.
Yes, me in the background.
Yeah.
So I'm part of the Seraphim Fighting Company. So mainly southeastern. It's it started in Neverwinter, which is Florida, then moved up to Winter's Edge when a lot of the people that were basically living in Neverwinter, and that became a kingdom, you know, years before I even joined in that principality. And so fighting company is Seraphim. It's my breath. This is our colors. I wanted to rep them when I got on tonight, and our motto is always better second and clean than first and not. I like it. That's actually our motto. We just say it a lot. If Sir Darian's listening, I'm not actually going to confirm that's our motto. As we've already confirmed earlier, I kind of say things and just hope that they like just keep rolling with it.
Oh, Vash, it's if you're not first, you're last. You got it backwards this whole time.
You were talking about punch shield.
Yeah.
I made a punch shield that's a literal punch shield. Like the grip is flipped basically from standing here. It is turned side. So when I put my hand in, it's for like hand blocking.
Yeah.
But then the bell and stuff, I'll actually like punch people's shields with it. But it has a Loot Crate El Diablo shirt that we tore up and then sewed over the front because it was the prototype one.
Yeah.
And so I call it El Diablo. It stands for like fighting chicken or something.
Who are you?
I know, man.
Oh, right? Man.
And they gave me a Grand Duke title. They're crazy.
Yeah, right.
Like, what are they doing?
They think
I am the example of the red. I'm like the X that people talk about on the shade of Facebook, you know, and like Amguard talks when they're like, you know, award standards really have, you know, slipped. Like, you know, I know some examples of these one dude, you know, it's always that one dude. They never drop like a name link, you know.
Right.
I feel like I'm always that guy. I'm like the circle, and they're like, "Why did we do this? Who thought that was a good idea?" Man literally got it and then was like, Grand Duke, that's what I'm gonna roll with. Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one. You know what? It probably takes all the heat off of any other position, right? It's like, well, if we give Ash a Grand Duke position at this point, right? Like everyone's gonna pay attention to that huge mistake. And now
you could slip in like I feel like it was a Congress move, where it's like you have like the defense tactical nuclear missiles under the orphanage budget. You can just slide it in there. Like no one notices. Like, oh yeah, orphanage budget. Yeah, we gotta approve that.
Yeah.
And it's like, 90% of that nuclear missiles. Let's go.
I mean, here we are. There's someone else got better off because you got Grand Duke. So
also I like to believe too that like the Grand Duke, especially because that's like it's the highest they can give. And then they also gave me Master Crown. And like my takeaway was like, so you guys don't want me to do this again, right? Like you're just being a nicely saying like you don't want me to ever do this again.
And please stay away.
Yeah, it's basically it's like a lot of people try to gatekeep. Don't gatekeep. Just give them everything that you can give them. And then like there's no point for them to do it. They're gone. Like you don't have to get deal with them anymore.
I love it. That's fantastic. So what about households? Are you in any households?
So yeah, like households kind of like died out in Winter's Edge, like in around this region. They're just not like there are some like they pop up every now and then, but they kind of just underutilize and fade. And I've always thought it was, this is just personal opinion whipping out. And just to answer, like not really no, because most of them faded out. So I would join them, but then they would fade. And I think it's the lack of like uniform, because even though like we don't have the company restriction anymore, like pretty much anyone you could think of in any serious fighting company, right, is only in that company. They could be in others, but almost every company has like the unsaid rule, even of just like I haven't Seraphim have our own like bylaws and code of conduct for ourselves, and like I can't even remember reading that if that's specifically even in there, but it is like none of us would ever join another company. And I think that's what the household problem falls into, because it's the same reason of like being an amp guard or anything, right? It has to have its uniform. That's like the same reason we all have specific colors. And then it has to feel almost exclusive, but in the sense of this is our thing. And I think households haven't ever really, the ones I've seen have never really met that. Because like I wanted to make a household that was the Mando household, but it was the whole concept was going to be like we would work at events and we would do whatever people needed at the event, and all we would ever say is this is the way in response to whatever task they gave us, but we would never accept awards. And like so we would all wear our own like Mando design sigils and stuff, but we wouldn't take awards from the aspect that the way is not about the thing that you hand me, it's about the action I did to better the game.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because there's a Mando household in the Southwest, and Kato, who I mentioned earlier, is one of the leads.
We actually tried to look them up. Like in the org, we looked up households, and the only Mando, like, because we were like, has this been done before? And like looking at the show, and so I would ask them I would ask them because we didn't see that one, because the only one we saw was like old guarded, like it was so years ago and clearly had like faded out. So like they need to get on their org and secure their trademark, or obviously I will steal it. Or obviously I'll be like, oh my god, you guys made a Mando company after me? That's crazy.
But that's great. I mean I made a Mando company after me. That's awesome.
Yeah, like you've made this like as a part of, like you're obviously a part of my house. I didn't even know. It's great.
That's great.
My imaginary household in my head, but the idea I had.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised because like I don't have a fighting company. And that's because I have a household that I'm like, no, I do everything I want with my household. And we don't, like, there are obviously members of my household who have fighting companies, but I just have been like, no, Order of the Ash, I don't need anything else. Thanks. I'm good. And that's typically what's right here is the order symbol, but I wore a court garb recently. So you have my old heraldry symbol of the maze. We did it.
It sounds like the conversation with me to start with. It's like gotta find it. And you're just like Kodiak's trying to find his way out of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out, man.
It's like there's no cheese. I just need to get to the cheese.
This is solvable. By the way, the Dame Annabelle made this for me, and I used to go to events and I would have kids tracing my back because they're like, "There's a solution, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it is solvable." And
I'm glad that you make that like point right after me saying it, because mine is not, and I think we're just attesting on the side. But also compliment to Damon, I have specifically kept my mouse in the center circle of that this entire time. And every time my ADD kicks in, I kind of wiggle it, I move it back in that circle. So
I love it.
it's been like my like rock to lean on.
That's good. I mean, I was trying to be your rock, but fine, just use the maze.
No,
It's
like
okay.
you're the
Okay.
questioning rock. There's always like there's going to be the silent stoic maze rock.
Yeah, and then a question rock. Yeah, there's
who's like, answer me my 3 questions.
Yeah. What is your favorite color? All right. No, I got it wrong.
And I was like, oh no, I don't even know myself.
Well, I'm going to ask you that later, so just be prepared.
Okay.
Okay. Shroud Star would like to know if you could create a ladder award in Amcard that doesn't already exist, what would it be and what would it be for?
I would like to create the award I would like to create would be something that separated battle gaming creation from Smiths. And because I feel like it just kind of got like shoved in there, and that like whole award itself is just like a grab bag of random stuff. And like I feel like Reaving, and that includes Reaving and battle game creation are really like their own accomplishments in the game and their own and it's at this point too, it's kind of that evolution of our game, right? Because before you could just reave, but nowadays like a tourney reave and a field reave are like entirely different exquisite skill sets, and they're not easy to obtain either. So like finding people that can do one is not easy to begin with, and they are completely separated. And then battle game creation and everything like that is its own like whole animal at this point, because we as amp guarders are like gamers. We expect better and better. If I just went to a Kingdom event and laid 2 flags out, people would be like, what the heck? Like I play CTF in my park. Like, but that's what they used to do, right? So like it has evolved and evolved. So now the requirements are that much more intensive, and running a quest is both monetarily difficult and logistically difficult. Because like our game isn't like a rag event with 3,000 people. So like when I was champion, I had to think I got like 120 people tops, right? Some are visitors, you can already wipe them off the board. Then I have my people, but everyone that I would take as a quester is someone not in my game, and also someone that I'm not just letting enjoy Amp-Guard. So if I take 20 NPCs, I could run you a ball in quest, but I also only have 40 people on the field. So 1/3 of my logistical capacity, 1/3 of the field is my logistics. If you fail at that point, how you can't, right. But you're also negating so much potential fun for every one of those people. So that's always how I look like. So that awarding that diligence and really separating it into its own accomplishment, I feel like is something the game. I actually felt that personally, I felt that should have been the 5th belt. I felt it was much more necessary.
In a couple questions, we're going to talk about the battle game night, and I'd like how that could fall in there. But it's very interesting that every time I ask this question, the award that people want to make is breaking down the serpents, breaking down the artisan side of the game, right? That it's too much in itself. So like having I know that in Dragonspine, a big talk is like a food night would be something that people would want to see. You're talking about I thought that the 5th belt was going to become an RP night, right? But you're talking about a battle game night that's not the play side of it, it's the creation side of it, and all of those things are pulling away from Serpent, which isn't a bad thing, I don't think, but it's just interesting that every time we approach this question, that's where we're pulling from. We're like, Serpent has a lot of stuff in it, let's pull some away.
Well, I think it's because like the way I've always viewed it is, with what we've done to Serpent, is basically you cannot include tangibles with intangibles. So tangibles are tunics, plate work, all the things that we physically see as a crafter. And to me, I think if you ask most people, just from my experience, that is what they first assume of a serpent. If I told you serpents for crafting in a LARP fantasy game, you're going to think physical objects. But we also put all the intangibles in there, which is battle game creation, putting on a play, all those things. Those aren't crafting. Like those are performances. They're creative. Like they're a completely separate entity of artistry. They wouldn't be sold in the same store. They wouldn't go on at the same gala. They wouldn't be in the same art studio. And that's why I've always thought like, breaking that out would be important. And so like overall, the battle game one was just because it's like such a specific integral part that is represented over and over again, which, you know, like a question earlier, every week, every park, every week, someone's making battle games for their park, right?
Yeah.
And so, but if we needed, I'd be totally cool with that award being the intangibles and just breaking Serpent into tangibles and intangibles. And this other line is all the intangibles. And that way the people that live in those zones, because right now, you know, as someone who has crafted from there, I basically just feel like a redheaded stepchild with the Serpent kids. You know, and even Smith is like, you know, it says Smith, and then they're like, but we're gonna give you a flame if you finish your battle games thing, right? And I'm like, what? Who am I?
Yeah, right.
I'm like bipolar. Like, who do I belong to? Which family is really mine?
Right. Yeah. And then you find out that you never really had a dad, and that you're, you know, there's a chance that you went
Oh, well,
back
they
in
like
time.
the terrible thing with like I wouldn't, if people wanted to pursue, you know, people have different interests. So if they wanted to pursue the belt, like I've always told people honestly, like I would not get in the battle game because you'll get in this weird Rose Smith like standoff with each other. That's like where I'm at in my awards currently. Like if you go through my work, like Vashiren and Evernight guys, you want to see an interesting study, like go to when I got like Roses and Smiths, and there is like they were like shooting at each other for the same award path. Like, you know, is it service or is it creativity? We don't know. Give them like one of each, and then you end up just in some weird quagmire of like flame path.
Well, according to this, you're next. You got 8 Roses and you have 6 Smiths, so you're due another Smith, right? Like,
no, that's all battle games.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you're according to your pattern here, you're due a Smith anytime now.
Yeah, they probably are just like, look, man, like we got rid of them in this one thing. Let's not get crazy. Like, can't like give them too much. You might actually like start like having a lot of these things. Give them that one thing, get them out of there. Hand them some sunglasses and a foam stick and point them towards the ditch line. We'll be rid of them.
Listen, do you want to be a samurai or not? Come on.
Embrace your flurb, nerd.
Go on, kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they do you as a monarch. You know that. They just kind of skedaddle you out.
Come on. Dragonspine loved me. Silence on this end.
They're right. I like how we do it. Where's our canned audience?
Yeah, right. Boo. Yeah. All right. So you got to create an award. Now let's modify the system we already have. If you could change one rule in Amtgard right now, what would it be and why?
Oh man, that's a really good question.
That's why you're on KOK. Is for the good questions.
Right? Yeah. But that's one I don't have off the hip because I've thought over this stuff so much that I'm usually just like in my head already know. You know what I mean? And I feel like at the part like, you know, and you would understand this, but like once you're that deep in the leadership and like the quantities you have to like literally quantify, like you feel like you like created every problem that could be a problem, so you already have the solution when the person yells about it, and you're like, wait, no, it's cool, I got a plan. And like if I could change one thing, like one rule, I would require there to be tournaments for stick that are not just the best against everybody. Pretty much I would make like I designed a league format that was basically a 3 and under, 6 and under, and then the warlord bracket, and people could always play up but they could never play down. Sure. And the smaller tournaments were like the 3 league was just an Ironman, and it was just who the first top 3 all just got different levels of awards and shipped out to the winner would get their 4, so they're automatically out of the bracket. And it doesn't matter what award they were at before. They're at 0 warriors, 4th, get out of here, son. And like and that whole reason was to like basically when cross gamers come over, all they do is just immediately get shipped out, and they don't have this destroying the mints for other under tournaments. And because I've seen sporadic underman tournaments, but you would get like there was a tournament at Gnome World War where I fought Bell. It was like already a renowned, excellent fighter, but he was 6 and under. And if I was him, I would have fought in it too. But in reality, his skill was far beyond that. You know what I mean? Sure. But we don't have a process to clean that out. And the more cross gaming grows, the more glaring that issue is going to seem inherently. And we already, but that was also my approach to solving like all the discussion about women fighters, minority fighters, all that. So I like researched it for 3 years. But I think just requiring that would be so healthy for the game because it lets people stay where they want to stay in foam, and it lets them enter a competitive format, you know, as a 2-week noob and not get just absolutely chunked. because like tournaments are the one I've literally apologized to some people that I would like had met on a Friday when Saturday came on a tournament day, and I said like, you're not like, when you fight me in this, you're not gonna. I just want to say I'm sorry, because I knew, because like in a tournament I can't risk the misstab that breaks my streak, like sets my Ironman, because we did like a lot of Warlord style. So I got to qual from the Ironman to the brackets, but I have to stay in that ring. And if I get chunked that isn't against a top fighter that you're already trying to usually have to fight out to win, I've just lost a ton of value that could seed me in that bracket. And that's all going to matter down the pipe. So you have to fight everyone 100%. But me as a sports person and a martial artist growing up, I actually don't enjoy those. Those are my least favorite parts of tournaments, because I'm basically, a dude right outside black belt trying to scratch on the door, who then has a dude walk through the doors, and I go, "Sup, you ready to get chunked?" Like, we would never spar each other. That's just should not be happening.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so my first tournament coming in, we were in a 5 and under, but I had no experience, right? And we had a couple up and comers. Arkin was actually one of them in that tournament, and Arkin and Kira were wrecking everyone. And it's like, well, I'm not leaving the game because of this, but I don't know what inherent value I have even competing. Like, I have
it creates that it creates the problem in that we've all heard this from the sword path before. If anyone's ever talked to fighters, right, it kind of creates that mentality of, well, when I joined, I didn't care. When I joined, I fought the best, because that's the type of person I was. Like, I'm a competitive nature person, play sports my whole life. I want to go find the best people, and I don't care if I lose 100 out of 100, because I'm just going to be getting so much knowledge. But that is an attractive thing that usually leads to a lot of people we see in sword. But then we as sword people also have to remember that like most of the game does not think that way. Most people do not grind their face off against a task until they're bleeding and think it was fun. That's probably actually points to something weird with us, not them. And and I think that's like basically what we do with tournaments now, is we basically say like, go in there to die. And if someone wants to fight to a fourth order in like a leagues type of system, and then they just stop and they're totally satisfied with that, they won the 3 and under, and they don't ever want to go into the 6 and under and fight like that intermediate level fighting, and they're just cool with what they got, I'm cool with them. Like, but that gave us a chance to keep that player, because I've seen people leave the game over just like that, just feeling of defeat. Like, it's like what I talked about before. We have to take self-achievement. If you go into some of these tourneys I've seen with some of these dudes, like, like the CTL tournament was a great example of like the top 16 there. Like, every one of those fights, none of them were free. And I'm used to going into some 8-man brackets where I know I basically make semis, like just knowing the fighter. I was in the first round, you're like fighting for your life at the CTL tournament, and like the skill that was there. And that's not even counting that we had Brett and Raven reaving. They weren't even fighting. Like, I can't even imagine they were fighting, but it's like, but if I'm thinking that, and I've trained for a tournament, right? I'm trying to put my whole being into it. I can't imagine what it'd be like to go back to day one, because foam's also only getting more skilled. And that's another one of our archaic things. And I think that's why the sword problem has become so apparent, is because this isn't like backyard foam anymore. This is like my equipment set of foam swords and shield alone is like $250.
Yeah.
Like, I'm buying Warlord sticks from Brett, custom designed cross gaming sticks, like a shield that was like specifically designed to my fighting style and stuff, against the guy who's using loner gear. Like, it's just such a mix match.
Yeah.
And we really should never, from a competitive viewpoint, I should never even have the opportunity to fight them. It's the same as a bad matchmaking system putting diamonds against bronze. Like, there's no way the bronze will ever have fun, and the diamonds are basically just bullies running around at that point.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks for coming to my fighting TED Talk.
Yeah, right. This is my TED Talk. No, I can't disagree with any of it. I mean, sapling tournaments. Again, my example did mention how the sapling tournaments, if are even troubling for new fighters, but we found a way around it. Deverick and I were household members together. We lived together. Instead of being new fighters who were worried about bracketing and trying to beat the top fighters, we started doing, well, what was my kill count for the entire day? What did I excel at? Was there a chance that I could have beat Shion if he didn't get that awesome block? And finding different ways to get positives out of it instead of being like, oh man, I didn't bracket. And now, like, I enjoy fighting, but I really only do it because that's what my friends do.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing too, is because it is like at the end of the day, like fighting is what we still do every week.
Yeah.
Like we're not all sitting around making plate armor every week, right? Mm-hmm. So there's an intrinsic value to the game that it exists off the fighting aspect. And so I feel like we do a poor job as a game with how foam has evolved to this level of combat, because we were basically a young sport before we were even backyard, and then we were a young sport. And we're kind of shedding that. Like, so the stuff we're seeing now from top fighters, like realistically, as a person who like watched and studied sports, as from a medic standpoint, stuff like we're achieving like the highest skill ceiling in some places. Like we cannot physically make swords go faster at this point. Mm-hmm. Like but you fight with a sword nowadays against a 15-year ago amp guard, like that tech literally didn't exist. Like you would win on equipment basis. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to hit like peaks of like the sport has been refined to its true essence. And at that point, we have to start looking at the protecting the new players, because like, a health, like what you did is a healthy mentality to me, mm-hmm. but that shouldn't be what you have to do.
Sure.
Like, and that's the thing is that three and and this is just my idea. There's probably a better way. And my thought was like with the sapling thing, that's why I said, like, if I could change a rule, I would make it a requirement, just so like, because what we have to do is we're going, it's like any business strategy when you're basically effectively changing something that was bad for years. We have to accept there's going to be like 2 to 3 years where this is basically like a warrior stimulus package, and it is not going to be immediately good, because the problem in Amtgard 2 is we change a Kapora and we want the result to be immediately the best thing ever. No, this is like, I literally, when I was talking to my current monarch about this, I literally like was upfront, like, bro, this isn't going to work for like a year. Like it's not going to feel impactful for a year minimum, because there's so many that you're going to have to clean out that just haven't been awarded, or really good fighters that just never hit the brackets, or got bracketed but never placed an attorney, and their park isn't big enough to give a 4, so they're just sitting in the water, like they're a snake in the grass, and you put them in a 3 and under, they're going to mark it. But it's the only way we can clean it out with our current system. And like, so anyone that does it, or when we look at the sword path, like I really just think we need to just separate to what we know are the usual skill mediums, and let those people find that achievement. Because I also think, for me as a competitor, I think for women and other fighters, because I only mentioned women because it was such a hot topic in Amtgard, especially like the Amtgard page and everything, and it would just come up like every few months, right? Mm-hmm. But it's, we've never given them a basis to build confidence. Pretty much the only people that currently survive sword path are like the dudes who could like literally just get grinded into the dirt and then just like 8 miles step up Eminem style and be like, let's do it again, like that's like, I've seen so many like just basically like fall on that path, like just crumple over, mm-hmm. and they get pretty far, and then they just crack under the sheer amount of just like self-determination it takes at this point, because you have to reach that. That's the one award where you have to basically challenge the best to get it. We don't have like a tunic off for serpent belts,
right?
Where it's like, you make really nice tunics, but can you beat Lady Armstrong? Like, we don't have that, but sword is. It's like, your heroes, you got to kill them.
Yeah. I mean, not to keep going on it, but Dragon Spine did have that issue where in Serpent, where for a while, okay, you were good, but would it have beaten so and so if they would have entered an item? And it would be like, well, they're not even here. Or if they are here, they didn't enter. They're judging or reaving. So it's like, yeah. How about judge me on the quality that I entered versus the actual people that entered, and not off of theorized or hypothesized thoughts of.
Yeah, we're literally living in like La La Land at that point.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I've seen, like, that's awards, man. Like, it gets so crazy because it's literally just like, awards are just like, I'm sorry to everyone that's shooting for something. I don't mean to break your heart. They are just a retention tool. That is why the first people who made Amtgard developed them. They are literally a thing to keep you playing this game, to chase something. You don't get anything at the end. Your own company will usually be the people who buy you the fancy items. That doesn't come out of the Monarchy budget. They don't provide that. All your friends make you the stuff, and they would probably make you something anyways if you just asked. Like that, it's a piece of paper, yo. It's why I call myself a Grand Dookie. Like the title was cool. I respect the value inherent in the award, but like, you know, when they gave me my, like, I'll tell you, like, this is specific to Master Crown, but you know, looking for validations and awards is a very, very painful road to walk. And I recommend everyone here, if you're saying I specifically want X award or X title, to just stop. Like, stop the clock. Stop. Because now you've forgotten the whole point. The whole point is the task that you did that was awesome happened to just give you this thing. And you're like, oh my God, I got an award for that? That's crazy. I just like doing this thing. But the award, when you start shooting for the award, because like the Master Crown was like, I tell people, and like, you know, it's not a, it really genuinely is not a place of ego, but that inherently is leadership. And I was just like, cool, bro. Like, I knew I was a Master Crown. I didn't need you to give me the awards. I mean, I'm glad you gave them to me, but I already knew because I killed it. Because like a leader ain't waiting for another leader to say, hey, you're valid.
Right.
Man, I'm out here leading. I don't, thanks. All right, I'm gonna keep it rolling.
Drive
Moving
on,
right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that's why I try to tell people for the other paths is like, if you're a master crafter, don't wait for AmpGuard to tell you you're a master crafter. You're a master crafter if you know it. If you believe it and you know you're producing that level, you know, there are unhealthy ways that you can take that mentality, which is what I've seen where people are like, well, I deserve this thing. Well, that's just unhealthy. But if you know in your heart of hearts, right, like what I'm producing is great, it doesn't matter if they give you the award at that point. You achieved the goal, which was to be master, like of the master work and the quality of what you created. At that point, the award becomes auxiliary. And I feel like that's the sad plot twist that I just want to expose to people is like, by the time you achieve that master, you won't really care because you already knew. That's what being a master of a skill set is.
Right.
And if you were surprised, like, you probably weren't a master. They probably just gave it to you because they're your friend.
It was telling that your military just slipped in there when you said retention tool. You're like, yeah, hey, we could send you to leadership school. Like,
it's some psychological warfare, man.
Yeah, right. Okay, we have a couple more before we get to the most serious of questions. We call them the funny ones. Blairo would like to know if you could meet any AmpGuarder, who would it be?
Well, it's like obviously me because I'm like the best AmpGuarder.
Okay.
No, I'd probably be like, oh man, I want to live a day in the life of my knight Kazan, because he is like, every day I question why he extended me a belt. He is like way cooler, nicer. Everybody likes Kazan. He's just a chill dude. Like in my personal AmpGuard story, he is like the hero, and I'm just like this side character that's just like, I brought a skill set, like I could stab people in the back for him, and that was just necessary for the plot. But that's like why I exist. You know, I'm like a segue anime episode, dude. You know, you spend 3 episodes, and you're like, when do we get back to the stuff we watched this for? I'm that guy.
I don't want to watch the beach episode, right?
And like sometimes he's just like, you know, like he did massive leadership stuff, and then he was just chilling at the drum circle, and I'm just like, I don't want to live that. He's like the cool, like hippie kid in college of like AmpGuard foam, and I'm like, I want to live a day of that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Can you give me, I mean, you're going to give us a different perspective than what we're used to on KOK. Give me 5 up and comers from your in AmpGuard.
So 5, man, up and comers. It's hard too with COVID because I haven't seen so many people around, but I would say that Persephone Hemlock, her name's Ruke. She was the first person that just floored me with her art. She truly came into the game already a master, like just with her art skill, the one who made my award and everything. But like, if she keeps making art, which she already does just for fun, you know, she's there. I mean, she was there when she first stepped in. We could have handed it to her when it was the first day, and we just don't because we're like, well, we got to have some time, right?
Right.
But her, another artist that I know of that always just made, you know, really good art is Vidalia out of Winter's Edge, and like the Onion, and she always made really good art, and so like she'll definitely get there, and because her skill was once again another one who just came in. She'd already won like state tournaments and stuff. I remember she told me, so we're just playing catch up with her.
Right.
And then I'm trying to think because it's just so tough with COVID. I don't know where everyone's at because I know some people I don't even know if they're gonna like come back and shoot for it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'm also trying to not just think of like, we always think of our crew, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, of course I'd buff them up, but like I'd already buffed them up already. And looking at of course it's gonna be one from my crew, but her name's Izzy, but she's really cool. Just because she's quieter, but she's just so healthy for the game.
Mhm.
And then there's Race. He's out in a park near us, and they joined us. But he's just another one of those chill dudes that I hope he just hangs with it. And I hope if he learns that I give him a shout out here, he's just one of those like, like it's all the people I'm thinking of. They're not like the huge names, and they weren't
Mhm.
like the biggest. Some of them are newer, but those are the people that I look at. Like I've always been. I know I've only said 4, by the way, but I'm just gonna segue. Let's just and like, but for anyone out there, it's like the newer players, like, because I love them, man. Because they like, I feel like we genuinely, a lot of us forget that day one. Why did we come out? But they're still just so fresh, and like, it's like I see them, and I want to like, I either fighting perspective, I want to train them, or their passion, I want to like protect it. Like I want to like insulate them from the award drama and
Right.
the title game and the monarchy popularity vote, and just be like, just you're already beautiful. Just keep doing you. Like, and if we recognize it, awesome. But if we don't, that's a failure on us, not a failure on you.
Right.
And like, and those are all the people that I can usually think of because there's just so many names run through my list. But it also just shows you like how much I'm intrinsically not linked to awards because
Yeah.
I think because I'm literally like, are they close? Like, where are they at? Like, how are they like their 4th or highest? Oh crap, that's gonna be a while.
Well, I mean, I did just ask for up and comers and not necessarily awards, but it's good that you subconsciously immediately tie that to awards. So
I mean, that's what like it's our retention tool, man.
Yeah.
How much value do they have? Do they have an 8th? All right, they have some. They're up there.
They're
You're
up there.
the 3rd. You're not no value. Keep on the grind. I'll look at you later.
I'll look at you. Okay.
You can go die in the Crown Enforcers. That's will be your contribution.
All right. Last question before we get to the funny questions. What's your thoughts on Battle Night?
God, I knew this one was coming too because I saw it in the other episode.
Yeah.
And I hoped it wouldn't be repeated. I'm sorry for everyone who pushed for that. I think it's literally the worst thing we've ever passed in AMP
Mhm.
It intrinsically made the one thing that was still not having awards and not tied to sweaty and drama. And did you see what I did? Because I was one of the people who made the Circle of Paragons in our kingdom, and then it went through all its own troubles and never like even got officially passed. But then we still like had it, and then the monarchs listened to us, but we weren't even official. It's some weird quasi COP basically at that point for years. But like even just sitting there and listening to people, like I could tell they talked different just because they knew I had the power to then recommend this thing they wanted, right? And I remember wanting Paragon Assassin, which was like one of the only 2 things I ever cared about, so I could see why it meant something to them. And like attaching an award onto that, I just feel like it's just like it was the last, like you could always just go out to a battlefield and just play.
Mhm.
And now you could do that, but there are other people who might be shooting for this award, thus they're gonna be like trying to play as hard as they can be. And the game is not balanced. Like I didn't think like I wouldn't have as much of a problem with Battlemaster if we just also didn't ignore the fact that like V8 is much better than any other version because it made the game's tempo faster. It did crunch down a lot of the just junk, but like I would legitimately like hand a Paragon like everything to whoever could recite and tell me every spell right off the drop of a hat if I just questioned them. I just walked up to them at an event, like, what's every spell in the rule book and how do you say it? What school is it a part of? Like, name it. Every ability, every spell, go.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah.
because like I played, there are times where I want to go like meta and play super sweaty, and all I remember are the metas. If you pull out some unused spell, I'm gonna be like, what the heck? Like how many times you actually see a suppression bolt thrown around when people have already gotten super meta? Like it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll kill you with a stick. Like, you know what I mean? And I'll either outfight you or oh no, like I just go over here for like a little bit of time. But you have to physically hit me with an object to like accomplish that when you could have just like killed me with another spell ball. Like, and so I think Battle Master supports getting to like if you're shooting for it, you're now going meta, which means now all our games will be split into those who came for fun, and because it was the last safe haven against all that awards, and is this going to get me a thing, or did I do well enough, and all that mind game. And it was like you could always just hit the field, and now you can't do that. Because it also, like, if I was at clan, my question would have been like, if I was a monarch sitting there, I would have asked like, so what happens when me and my two bros put on druid and just see that you want battle master really bad, and we decide you don't get to play the game for 60 seconds every 60 seconds of every
Right.
60 seconds. Because, and that's like the same as like Sword has seen that with line skipping and stuff, right? But even that is like kind of cheesy, and people see it and call it out. But like at that point, I'm like, we're not doing legitimately anything wrong. You couldn't like pull us to the side and tell us like, hey, let that person play the game. Like, we're playing the game. We just shut you down the entire battle game, so you'll never earn the award. But we're just doing it just because, like, oh, you want that thing really bad. And I just think I've seen that mentality so much in sports that it's like, you know, that's every troll in video games. You can find those dime a dozen. And so I think we just open the door for that without really thinking about the repercussions. Or is our game as well, like, we have a problem of thinking we are like, you know, the Elysium, right? It's if the world was perfect, this award would be perfect. But we know the world's not perfect, thus this award is not perfect.
Sure.
And so, like, you know, and I don't, that then brings in the counter argument, because I've heard them all, right? Well, then, you know, we would never pass anything new. And I'm like, well, but we had control over this one. Like, we know it's inherently unbalanced. Like, you want to win, play caster. Like, you know, like Marshall, like we were just talking about, takes years of refined practice and study. And the martial classes are all inherently linked to their weapons. Whereas you already know English. So learn some spells, boom, you're there. Now just learn how to learn how to use them. Like, I've seen casters that went from new player to elite caster in 2 years. You cannot do that in stick, which is our martial classes. So like, if you want battle master, you know, we just introduced this thing, but we didn't even think like, all right, I'll just go get Paragon and 3 caster classes. Boom, done. Like, close the book.
Interesting. No, I don't inherently disagree. I think maybe coming from where I come in Amtgard, because Dragonspine, from the data that was provided at GOTC, Dragonspine is one of the least Paragon awarded kingdoms. So that path seems like it has has more legs for people having to get there, based around our current award recommendation and award submittance and handing out of those. So
I feel like
interesting point.
I feel like they just, like, we wanted it, like, it just kind of became a thing because so many voted yes that, like, I was like, honestly, to me that was like, and I mean this honestly, and I know I'm like crazy outlier conspiracy guy here on this one, but that award inherently, like, when I saw how many people voted yes at clan, I was like, that's the day Amtgard really died. And I truly believe, like, we have not seen the impact that this award's going to cause, because Battle Games was the last chill safe haven. Like, they couldn't touch you there. If you didn't care about Paragon, which was already, like, Paragon was just if they gave it to you, but that also, like, they included that part in as well, which I've been to kingdoms where Paragon's a dime a dozen award. Whereas in Winter's Edge, we tried to make them, and we tried to make Paragon be like an achievement, but not for ourselves and not to gatekeep, but so that person, because I still believe this. I thought Paragon, for people that enjoyed our game from that, you know, going to the field aspect, that was the closest a lot of people would ever get to knighthood. So Paragon shouldn't be as hard, and we weren't trying to do that. But that achievement value, like, I was like, guys, this is kind of like really, like, some games just throw this out, but like, that's really all you got is like that fantasy character you play, and then you went out and performed with the class abilities you were given. Like, you did really well, and that might be the highest achievement you could really ever achieve in this game for most people. And, you know, because we already know statistically, most people aren't going to be knights. You know, when they join, they can stay 10 years not be a knight and then just leave as a family or whatever. So that was really one of the highest bars. If you just came to the field, you could achieve. And, you know, but then we linked it. We're like, now we have to like backtrack on all these awards, right? Because Crown, when we added that in to basically handle, you know, the Crown system, but it was still your terms had to be of this value, right? But now we've added this award that's just whatever your kingdom had decided, but they didn't know that was ever going to be applicable. You know, we knew with Crown before, because I saw people make comparison to basically introducing the crown system. The crown system was to basically clarify something that was murky, but it still held the same standards on how you should get them.
Sure.
Battle Master, we're giving a knighthood out for an award that's every monarch literally before never knew that was going to be a thing that led to knighthood. They were just, I've seen them given out just for flurby fun. Like now that's a check in the box towards knighthood. Like, whoa, that changes. Like if I'm a monarch sitting on the seat, that changes my perspective entirely. Like we got to we got to review this. We got to make sure it's fair. You know, it can't be for fun. It can't be, you know, for like cool, you know, cause I've seen places where that was what Paragon was for. Was just like, hey, you know, like a motivator, right? We talk, it's a retention tool. You did good, you know, but maybe they're not the best gamer, but they really wanted, you know, they were really about their class and they really gave their all that they could give. Well, now I have to, if I was a monarch, I have to sit there and be like, yeah, but now I'm bumping them towards knighthood. You know what I mean? Like, we can't just be handing those out willy nilly. And I think it just compounds our award problem even more too, where we start like tracing awards into awards where it's like now this award then like unlocks this branch of awards. And I'm like, that's reverse of lean. That's reverse good business. Good business is just like, here's the very defined and standardized pathway that we have created to thus objective, now hit objective. And it's just, I don't think we realize like how serious it is too, from like, you know, there are different kingdoms with different culture where they don't think it's a big deal, but it's when they move somewhere else or anything, you know, when you start mixing, it's basically the equivalent of we have mixed rank queue with unranked queue, and it's gonna be dirty.
Yeah. So two points to that. The first one is it's still being talked about in the Circle of Monarchs to decide if that is going to fall under the sword path.
That's one.
Yeah. No, that's still being discussed. Every time it gets no voted, it gets tabled until the next meeting, and it keeps being tabled instead of just being voted and then voted off. And second, so realistically, the Circle of Monarchs has already decided no, it's not going to be in the sword path, so it should be just its own fifth path, but it keeps getting tabled, so there's still a chance that at some point it could be under the sword path. And then the other part is don't we devalue non-casting classes by having it inherent that you need one caster level paragon, right? So we're saying that that means that you don't inherently need a militia-based paragon. You could just be a super good caster and be really good at doing control and battery stuff for like your bards and healers, and never be in the combat side of battle gaming. But that's just a couple of points I wanted to point out. I made these points before the COM meeting too, and you know,
I feel like if they put it under sword, like, and I'm not going to take a long time. I don't know if this was like we address or not, but because I know this was like, good thing we had the funny ones after this, right? Because this is like the one like low point in the stream, right? Where it's like, whoa, this is the depressive arc in the end.
Yeah, this got
when
dark.
Sword Art Online, when like the chick didn't make it, we're in that part of the stream.
Yeah.
Like, but like, I mean, we should not put it under sword, because you're just going to steal the wind out of people that have spent years and years achieving. And I'll bet $1,000 in any kingdom right now, and I got that money, I'll play the game, that people will not make, one person will not make the comment, let alone one, but I believe it'll be a lot, but one person will not say, well, they're a battle game sword.
Yeah.
Like, that is immediately where that's going to go, bar none. Because you got dudes that spend 15 years week after week grinding towards this other one, and then you slide that under there, everyone's going to stipulate, well, they're a battle game sword. And then I also, like, you can tell I knew it was like, I had never liked it, so I didn't keep up with it. Is it you have to have one caster class, but not like it's only one caster?
There's a way for you to get there by having 3 paragons, but one of those paragons would have to be a caster's paragon.
I feel like it should be reversed. I feel like we're so out of touch. It's like when top management doesn't know what actually happens on the service floor, because like one caster, man, I just said it earlier without even knowing that was like a discussion. Like, man, 3 casters is the fastest way to get that belt.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do martial classes. Like, we talk, this is more battle game speak, but like, if I put on a martial class, you know exactly what my abilities are.
Yep.
You put on a caster class, I don't know. Now think of every video game you've ever played. Oh my God, the advantage of a hidden kit versus a known quantity.
Yep.
Like if I know every team that I engage in a battle royale, what guns they're carrying, I have massive advantage over they don't know what I'm playing with.
Mhm.
And like that's our caster system. So like you have literally by writing a spell list, you have created advantage in and of that action because I have no idea what you're rocking. And by the way, I figure out 5 minutes into the game with each individual caster on the field because like when I go in as a warrior or an assassin, I try to evaluate what meta kit spell list they're running, and then I try to break them down. But the great thing is they can just change it the next battle game. So and that's where like. But I really feel like at a stipulation like that just shows like we have no like from the perspective of Vanguard and looking at this from someone who sat on that COM, it feels like we have no idea what we actually know. We don't even know what we're doing with this award. We just passed this to make the people happy.
Yeah. And it'll get modified over time. Everything will, but yeah. All right. Bash, let's get to the serious questions now. Okay. All right. Sir Glenn would like to know the most unusual person you've ever met.
Oh man. Isn't the most unusual person in like our game just the regular dude who like comes by and like
you don't have to call us all out like that, but right? Yeah.
Like I like non-Mimi, I feel like the most unusual person is the actual regular guy. Like most unusual person I ever met, hands down. I know the answer to this question. John Horton, Wall Baron, country boy, still posts on my Facebook feed. I see his post about college football just this week. And I'm like, who plays LARP and watches college football? Wait, you gonna watch NASCAR next? Like, but like, it really is like, because sometimes I watch things, I'm like, I would not fit in with my own crew now, But I was like, he drinks, he's like, the meme with him was PBR beer, because he'd actually drink PBR. He's like, he reminded me, because I grew up in the South. I actually grew up hunting, 18 years. I didn't know about LARP. So I was like, I grew up hunting with my dad, duck blinds, going out. And like, I was probably going to be a hunter if I didn't go down the foam track and that just be, an adult, you got to choose one hobby. You can game, if you're a gamer, you get one other hobby, which is your physical, I see people hobby. You can't hunt and foam. It just, it's too much. Whoever does that has got too much time. They must not be a millennial because they got money.
Right.
And so like, but yeah, I'm going to Wall Baron. He's the most unusual person. He's like a country boy that got lost on the duck blind and ended up with a foam sword.
Okay. All right. Still, I would like to know the coolest dog you've ever met.
Oh man. Well, so coolest dog was, I did a show called The Frontier House for PBS when I was like 8 years old. You can look this up online. It was a reality TV show, but I tell people it was before reality TV show was all scripted, because also, sorry to break anyone else's heart, all reality TV show, whether how believable, is all scripted events. But they actually sent us out to the frontier for 6 months to live like it was 1883. We lived in a log cabin, 1-room log cabin with a wood burning stove as our heat source. And my name was Logan then. That's my first name. I go by Chase, which is my middle name. So Logan Patton in the show. But yeah, we were the Glenn family out there. But our dog, his name was Jasper, and we had him as a puppy out there because one of the dogs, while we were prepping to leave for the show, and they were training us on like actually how to survive like this time period.
Yeah.
Because everything was legitimately remade, reproduction to that time period. He had 6 toes on his feet, and he was like the coolest freaking thing ever because he had 6 toes.
Okay. All right. I
know every answer right with me is like a prologue, epilogue.
You got right. You got a whole.
I wrote an event that was the Winter's Edge Days of Future Past, and I had to make a timeline for the battle games they would play because they like I'll have to like find the document for you, but like I drew it and then had my friend Ruke, who did the scroll, remake it to be pretty for when I posted to the kingdom. But it was the event, the event's official name was Winter's Edge Days of Future Past, and they actually went back to previous Winter's Edge events that had been had, and like special events that everyone talked about from those events.
Wow.
I remade them. This is when I was Warcraft. So I remade those events into battle games that they would then go back and forth to retrieve the materials they needed. Because in this timeline, Winter's Edge like fell to the demonic corruption. And then, and sorry, this is totally just a like me moment, but the coolest thing I achieved with that was that every battle game wasn't teams. There was a storyline. And in the story of the demonic corruption, all the paragons of Winter's Edge stayed behind to hold the line so everyone else could go through the portal. So every battle game was all of the kingdom versus all the paragons. So there was about 15 paragons against about 35 players. And but we were all corrupted. So we all had different masks and costumes of our character that had become corrupted. Wow. And we were trying to like basically protect through the timeline what they were fighting for. And then they ended up finally breaking down back into the castle, which had become corrupted, which was totally a steal from Ocarina of Time. And everything I've done is always a shameless steal, y'all. And like, I've stolen it from media. So with a Ocarina of Time through to Ganondorf's castle, which just happened to be all our paragons, and then the main baddie, and basically reset the timeline with this. We had a soap bar that had been made for Winter's Edge a long time ago that had the Winter's Edge snowflake on it. And so I called it Snowflakium. And every time they time traveled, they had to literally break a piece off and crumble it. And it was the rarest resource in the kingdom because I hate time travel stories. And so I killed 2 birds with 1 stone without them realizing, which is they used all the Snowflakium. Thus, Snowflakium doesn't exist. Thus, you can't have time travel backstories anymore because we use that resource in real Winter's Edge lore. Killed that bird without them. That was a side thing they didn't realize I was just doing for me. And then the second thing was that like the whole point was that all the players get to beat their heroes. So they beat us because every battle game's win condition was just they had to win, no matter how long or what the cost. And we were just delaying them. So like they went through 3 games, and when they finally reset the timeline and basically went back and saved Winter's Edge before the corruption happened, every time when they did that, they had to beat the paragons. So every player from new to old that just played the game beat the best people in the kingdom, quote unquote. That was my best event. Like that's still like my best event ever ran for like me personally.
I mean, that came out of what was the coolest dog you've ever seen. So I'm interested to see where the rest of these go.
Yeah. If you don't know, I have ADD, and that's how that mental, I don't like call disease because I think it's an advantage, but it takes you from unusual dog to your coolest battle game event.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
And
Let's go on this ride, man.
It's like a rock skipping across a lake, and like people tuning in are like, where's it going with this?
Yeah. All right. What's the best kind of dragon?
Oh man. I didn't hear all these last time, I don't think. So I'm getting like just smacked out of nowhere.
Yeah,
these,
well,
these are bangers.
Bangers.
Like, I mean, obviously, right? Like, because I always try to break them down. You know, I'm a very like I like to say I'm an army-proof person. Like Claymore, front towards enemy, right on the front. Like, how can you mess it up? So obviously, the best dragon's a chromatic dragon because it's all dragons. So like, pick your favorite. It's there. Boom. It's like a pie that has all the flavors, but you get your specific slice that you want.
Okay.
Boom.
All right.
Satisfy the whole audience.
Okay.
Also known in entertainment as taking the cheap way out.
What about your favorite fictional knight?
Gallivant.
Okay. Best fictional or non-fictional sword name?
I like how we just blew through one too.
Yeah. We did it. We did it.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud. I had to take a moment for myself. I was like, I did it.
I mean, now we're not doing it because now you've.
Yeah, but we never referenced the question. You know, we've just referenced the action of the question.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
This is what happens when you get 2 Grand Dukes in a room, by the way.
Hey,
we could politician this to like the ends of the earth. Because I think of that with some like I literally after I said the chromatic aberration because it was just funny to me in my head, but then at the back I thought, Chase, you just like politician answered. You didn't answer the question at all. Yeah. You just answered around the question until the audience moved on to the next one. And then everyone was like, yeah, that worked. I'm like, yeah, that worked.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. All right. Favorite or best fictional or non-fictional sword name?
Oh. It's gotta be like I have a whole kit of new gear that I bought based off of this, but it's gotta be Doomslayer.
Does it have to be? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
fair enough.
because I have a Doom guy kit. It's just a Doom like rip and tear kit. And then that's the shield that I have in my picture where it's like until it's done. That's like the Doomslayer sigil.
Yeah.
But like, man, it's just like, you know, a good sword name is just you accept the edge. Like you just got to. And if you try to avoid the edge, you're probably an elf, which means we won't get along to start with.
Ooh, okay.
because like ain't nobody got time for that haughtiness. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to win wars out here. Like that backstory. You lived 1,000 years, dude. I can't listen to a backstory that's 20 years sometimes. I can't be here for this.
Just for anyone, point of reference, when we started this, Vash got his last name from the idea of the Blood Elves. So he's willing to rip right from the elves, but
I will steal everything and then hate on it. The ultimate flex is not that I just stole your product; it's that I then make fun of you for said product.
Right.
Like it's like the equivalent of it's like the other guy's parody, man. Like I learned to swing foam swords really well to make fun of people that swing foam swords. Like I'll get my warlord and I'll be like, I can finally tease them.
Yes, finally.
Look at you nerds in the ditch line.
You nerds. All right. I'm gonna try to get us on track so we can finish before the day switches to the next. Do you play Magic the Gathering?
Used to.
Okay. What was your deck colors?
White.
Oh. Just pure white. Wow. Okay. Favorite color?
You can have any color you want as long as it's black.
Okay. So black's a shade. What's your favorite color?
Don't do this to me, Kodiak. We had a friendship, and in this moment, it just shifted into like Fallout. Vashiren disliked that.
How did I know? I knew if I said it, it's like, oh, she's not. This is not going to be good. This is going to be fun. Yeah.
But white is just so you can tell there are other designs present. Right. If it could be black and still perceivable to the human eye, it would just be all black.
Fair enough. I apologize for how I stepped away from.
No, you made a fair scientific stance, but I'm American, thus I don't have to believe in science.
Oh, well, that's, I guess.
It's my freedom, sir.
Freedom.
It's my right.
America. Anyway, okay. Is Kodiak more of a Jedi or a Sith?
I don't know, Kodiak. Are you? How many followers? Like how many have you been knighted? I didn't know. I just saw
I've not been knighted.
So do you have a knight?
No.
Okay. So have you anyone paged on you or anything?
Nope.
Okay. Do you have an apprentice?
Nope.
Do you have anyone in your company that's like your follower that like learns from you? Like they're directly kind of under you designated, even if unsaid. Like you have your direct kind of apprentice bro or broette.
No.
All right. Yeah, this is really tough. If you had if you had more than one, you were obviously a Jedi because the Sith have to follow the rule of two.
Yeah.
But since you don't have one, you don't follow the rule of two, and the rule of two is always true. So you're neither. You're a gray Jedi.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Process of elimination, people. Everything can be broken down.
It's on the back of the phone right there. Gray
Is
Jedi
really?
code.
Oh
yes,
my God, let's go. Like, it's correct answer. Has anyone got that before? I feel awesome.
No. So what happens is everyone's like, oh, I don't know. I feel like you're a Jedi. And then the people that don't know anything about me are like, oh, man, it seems like you'd be a gray Jedi. So it's the people that know me that want to put me in this Paladin Jedi position.
They want to box you in, and you're like, I won't accept the box. That's what they do to us, man. That's why you should. Sorry, that was the Sith me. I was going to say kill your friends, but before they get too close.
Right. Well, this is why I'm willing to play with the evil to make it work. But whatever, that's fine. Okay, so Amtgard is making a live action movie. Who is cast as Vashiren?
Oh goodness. First off, where did we get the budget for this, y'all?
Like,
North? It had to be like a Northreach fundraiser from when I knew they were making bank a few years ago.
Dragonspine inspired men of Amtgard.
No, Dragonspine can't do it. They're buying jacuzzis. Those guys are fucking awesome too, man. God dang. Got Jacuzzi Kingdom? Like, that's so much better. Man, live action, we already do that. But jacuzzis, we ain't got that.
We ain't got jacuzzi, yo.
But all right, so who's playing? All right. Dang, that's got some like in there.
Yeah.
Because like the assassin part of me, like I always just divert from myself in meme ways. So I never actually like discuss any tangible details. And this is like the good question. It's like the heart of something. It's just like.
So Morgan's saying Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. Well, he doesn't have a soul because he's a gender, so that could work. Like, because obviously there's something not present in me, so that's like I'm obviously lacking something, which leads to the psychological.
I mean, or do you got more than most? Is that is?
What are you, a Hufflepuff? Calm down there.
You son of a bitch.
I know, right? Like,
yes, I am.
Turn the self-deprecating comment into a compliment. And yeah. There's a meme in my house. I live with Hufflepuffs. Amgard, I'm surrounded by Hufflepuffs. Yeah. Like literally all like tested from the Harry Potter test thing. And everyone will tell me what it's called, whatever, the Potter house thing. They're all Hufflepuffs, man. And I'm like a Slytherin just trying to swim through a sea of Hufflepuff kindness. And I'm that dude that just loathes it. So many compliments and candies and treats and happiness, and I'm just like drowning in this sweetness.
Just wait until we get to the hugs, man.
Yeah, like you know what? I want The Rock to do it.
The Rock, okay.
Because he's the accepted, like we like in our household, everyone, even if you don't realize it, you have like that one actor in your household that's like accepted, especially when you got a significant other, and like my girlfriend, she's like very judgmental of movies and stuff. So like I'm usually just along for the ride. I'm the dude who went and saw Transformers and was cool with paying $15 because like, I'm not here for a storyline, y'all. I'm here to see giant robots punch them in the face. Okay. Like that's all why are robots punching you in the face? Stop trying to create a story to engage me. Okay. Like I was, Pacific Rim, terrible movie. Giant robots fight monsters. Boom, I'm in the movie.
You already have my money, sir.
Like I literally want. Like I'll pay you the obscene price to see this. And so, yeah, but The Rock's our family household guy. We'll watch every Rock movie. It's always chill, even when it's terrible. It's The Rock, so I'd be cool with that.
All right. So when The Rock comes on screen playing you, what's the theme song?
Oh man. It's just because we all, it's my theme of us stealing things. So I'm just going to re-steal from the own Rock's portfolio into The Rock. And it's just got to be You're Welcome. Because I just hope he's smoking somebody with like a lefty hip wrap and then just drops the flex of You're Welcome on it. And they're like, I'd say thank you, Like,
okay. All right. We're in a different universe. We're not making a movie now, but every person has superpowers. What are your superpowers?
Sweatman.
Of course.
No, I'm just. It's always wanted to be like total edge weeaboo response, right? But I've always like I like have a full helm getting developed right now. Like that I purchased like a fancy leather helm to go with my kit. But like every video game, whenever they like let you like Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a great example. You can play as these amazing Jedi or Sith that you grew up with, and I'm like, I want to be the random clone trooper. So like SWTOR, I literally played a trooper so I could just like wear a helmet because like I hate power fantasy. Like I hated Jedi. Like I know this is true, our unweep self, just because as a small child, like I hated power fantasy. I was like, I just want to be random soldier number 27. And if I get chunked, I get chunked. But like I was there for, you know what I mean? I wasn't special. Okay. I carried a blaster in because of nerve and a can-do attitude and a lunchbox that my girlfriend packed for me with some PB&Js. All right. I don't have fancy force powers to carry the day. All right. And so like, what was the original question?
All right.
Oh yeah, superpower.
Yeah, there it is.
I got it, bro. My superpower would just be to negate other people's superpower. So I could just pop them with like a 40 and be like, oh, how did that all work out for you?
Yeah, I did it. Okay. All right.
Like, I'm the most special, unspecial man.
There we go. Yes. There it is. I think that summarizes this near 3-hour conversation.
I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I tried to prepare you the only way I knew how.
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite conspiracy and what's your favorite Amgard conspiracy?
Okay, favorite conspiracy, easy. I like that people think that there's some elite group running the world because I've worked federal, state, and private sector, and I can tell you that the people that run the stuff at the top in no way could be like shadow puppeted or run an organization. Because like it's the same thing for me with like Area 51 sums this up perfectly. Because like, bruh, Area 51 would be ran by like enlisted dude number 27, who's me. And I would immediately get out of the military and be like, yo, aliens are freaking real, Kodiak. Like, let me tell you.
I got all.
I don't care. Like, I can't keep it in. Like, I don't care if the sniper's outside my window. Like, I got to tell somebody. And like, so we would know. And then my favorite Amtgard conspiracy theory is also just shadow puppetry. Like, people think that people are like telling monarchs and stuff in the background. Like, I was at Clan. When I went to Clan as a full monarch, we were voting on lowering the percentage from 100%. I was in that crew that actually did it. We changed something that took 100% votes with like 20 kingdoms at that point, right? I think it was like 22 or something. But it was like, it's almost impossible. You gotta get 22 people across the American cultural values to like agree to something.
Yeah.
And we were just trying to agree to lower it. But we had to call a recess. It's like, for once, this is the only moment in my career, we were true politicians. We were true, honest to God, just politicians. We call a recess before the vote could happen. Goran called it. And I was like, that was a smart move because it's probably about to go south. We go outside, we find the two outlier people. We branch off in like two different groups. You know, there's like this half of monarchs that agree with this monarch and the other half that agree. And we're all kind of like sideline, like looking at each other, like, did your person agree yet? Are we good with them? Then we only have to convince this one. But the group that I was in was Goldcrest, Goran, me, and Chewy. And we were talking to this guy. And I don't remember this monarch. And I'm sorry to bring it up, bro. But he legit looked at us. And he was like, I just don't feel it's right passing it because I feel like something's at play, you know, like above us, like someone's trying to push for this. And I remember legitimately standing there and being like, bruh, we're the CEO. We're like the ACOM. Like, we are that force, that conspiracy team, the elite that gets to decide whatever they want. Everyone has to deal with it. Like, it's us. We could do literally anything we wanted right now. We could tell APOD to just put it on the docket and they can't argue because we fucking owned it. Like, they work for us. And then we could just pass it. We could just say there's not Amtgard. Like, we're that. But I remember just like, we're those people. We're the shadow puppets. The people you fear. You are one. And I remember, like, that's when I learned, like, you could never shake that in Amtgard. Like, when people talk about conspiracies and then people try to explain it, I just tell them, like, bro, don't even try. Because I've had a bit at ACOM where another kingdom monarch talked about the shadow puppets. Somewhere above ACOM, if there is, my God, they're so good at their job because I never heard from them.
I love it. Okay. Lightning would like to know, would you rather adopt 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
100 duck-sized horses.
Okay. All right. Stillhead would like to know, would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or a duck-sized horse?
A horse-sized duck or a duck-sized horse? It's got to be a duck-sized horse. The beak on the horse duck would be insane. Like, that's going to have like some like great white, you know, pound per pressure per beakage per stab. Scientific unit measurements, European. I don't expect you to know it.
Don't get fancy over here.
It uses the meat wrist system. I think that's what they call it, the Metere system. Put some flair on it.
Yeah. All right.
They're European, man.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of conspiracies, just a second ago, are birds real?
Are we real?
Are birds real?
Oh, is this like a have to caveat in?
I'm not gonna let you answer with another political. Are we?
I mean, no. Like, I legitimately don't. Is it a simulation, Kodiak? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, whenever you look inside, you ever notice how it's really just kind of a void, and then it's just like things happen. But like, if I look in, right, you know, and I'm like, I'm gonna think of my own thoughts of my thoughts, and it's like like the abyss, but nothing stares back. Yeah. It's an empty abyss.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe that's just a simulation. Like, maybe I'm just supposed to go through these actions, and, you know, I think I have the free will to perform them. But on the topic of birds in the simulation, I do believe they are real because they have shat on my car, and it's really annoying.
Okay, but if this is a simulation, then the bird wouldn't be real.
Yeah, well, like, we thus aren't real. Thus, like, because then we get into, you know, then we're basically like, we're talking in the philosophical, like, if I'm not real, but the bird's not real, to me, the bird is real because we are both not real together. Thus, we are real to each other. And in the grander scheme, we're not real.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? But
yeah,
like,
no, I'm following.
It's like quantum. It's like quantum. It would be like quantum physics at that point because like we're not real until observed. But I have observed the bird, so even if I am part of the simulation, to each other we are real because we both observe each other. And then once we pass and we're unobserved, we no longer exist.
Well, also once we speak into existence, the idea that we're not real.
Yeah, like I've straight wanted to just like I used to work security in a casino in Baltimore, but some people in AmpGuard have like started a sentence and like man, like in playful fun, but like it still would be like bad, you know? Like I just wanted to tackle them because like my initial reaction is like, don't put it into the universe, like don't put that in the aether, like don't finish that sentence, like you know, because like 5 years ago, someone was like, what if we made a Battle Master night? And look where we are.
And here we are.
Yeah, that's a low key flex on the side, by the way.
Wow. Everyone. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I brought it back.
You keep going for.
I want you to
souls.
all know I physically circled the maze with my mouse as I said that comment because I knew I was going all the way back around.
Very good. Very good. All right. Okay. Code Red or Baja Blast?
Baja Blast, hands down. Did you know they have a diet version? They told me that at Taco Bell the other day, and I was like, my God, I remember when this was like a specific drink to Taco Bell, and now we have a diet version. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me because I don't drink real soda. So
this is the line. Like Code Red is the actual right answer.
Well, like Code Red, but that has to like Code Red is an emergency drink. It's called Code Red. It's like the one behind the glass that you break in case of emergency. Baja Blast is just your typical American summer girl. I'm out on the beach with my pina colada drink. It's not special. It's just the one you go to.
Is this your confirmation that you're just basic?
Well, dude, I've stolen everything. I'm like the equivalent of a freaking influencer just trying to make it, just like it worked for them. It worked for them. It worked for them. I'll slide it in my stream.
Okay. Well, that means next time you go out in a fight, I want you to say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. Because you could steal that as you're welcome. Yeah. Okay.
What's the fun one? Because it's like one of those fun slangs. So you don't like. I'm being honest. Like it's one of those that's like it humors, but you don't retention it. What is the thing you say before the questions or whatever you were saying? Because you have that intro and then you have the
the bare necessities.
Yeah. I will like on tape when I go to the next tournament if it's videoed. I will yell that for you when I like land like just the cleanest lefty hip wrap, and I'll just be like. I'll throw a nice little like feint up top on it so they drive their guard so far up they don't even realize that they're like above a high cross, and then I'll just drill that hip so hard you hear the echo off the vibration of the camera, and I'll just look and I'll be like, that's the bare necessities.
Oh, if this gets put on film and someone can send it to me, I will be forever in love.
Yeah, please just ignore when I wipe the sweat from my brow because they couldn't make me sweat.
All right. Okay. Sir Nikolai would like to know, what are you drinking?
Water with the fruit punch Mio put into it.
Okay. All right. Speaking of drinks, apple juice or orange juice?
Orange juice.
Okay. Hot dogs, are they a sandwich or a taco?
Depends on how you fold the bread.
Okay. What happens when the bread breaks? Does that change the dynamic of the taco or the sandwich?
It does. It has become a sandwich again.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ice cream or custard?
Ice cream.
Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles. They're technologically advanced pancakes.
How much is too much to spend on breakfast?
Un-American question. Next. Sorry, I thought we were in the lightning round. My bad.
Well, no, those hit quick, right? Those are the either or ones.
Well, it depends. Because a normal amount would be $30, but that might be a stretch. But do you have a Glock on the table? Well, now that breakfast is like $3.90 altogether. How American is it?
You're not allowed to bring a gun in, but you have to wear a shirt.
Love my country.
I love my country, America. All right,
serve for this country.
Favorite addition to a bowl of yogurt?
Oh goodness. I don't even know what they're called. It's whatever little sprinkly things they put in there sometimes that remind me of Frosted Flakes, but aren't frosted, but they add some crunch in there.
Granola?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I got it. Granola.
Look, man, it was invented in Europe or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm like, always are the most American.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an undercover, like I told you, man, 18 years old. I'm an undercover country boy just trying to like pretend my way through with all the higher class states and educated folk.
Right. What does it know?
Granola. Yeah, that sounds
What is
about right. I think I had
granola?
a cousin named Granola. Jesus.
All right. Speaking of things that you put in a bowl, is oatmeal a soup?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Just got to
All
pick
right.
consistency.
Okay. Last 4 questions. Somehow we got here. I don't know how, but somehow we got.
I'm gonna miss it.
What
I
is
know
the
what I'm doing myself. Sorry. It's just me, emotional.
Yeah. Just
These are actual tears, not sweat.
Yeah. This is tears. What is the square root of a bowl of oatmeal?
So it's going to depend on the consistency. You know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Can you, with as much detail as possible, explain the color of the letter
Are we sure we
F?
want to finish this question? Are we sure? For your own sleep and work life schedule.
Listen, I'm a teacher. It doesn't matter.
That's terrible. That's worse. My girlfriend's a teacher. She wouldn't kiss me in the middle of this to go to sleep.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to bed. Yeah. No, I got 3 more. I'm gonna make it. I promise.
But the most detail as possible.
With as much detail as possible.
Oh God, no.
Thank you, Morgan. Explain the color of the letter F smell.
Oh, explain the color of the letter F smell. Right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Explain the color of the letter F smell.
Yes.
All right, we'll see. It's easy process. So we just got to break it down, simplest parts, right? So F is going to smell probably bad because the most common F words we use are going to be curse words, which inherently are bad because they stem from the fact of cursing someone, which means to put negative energy onto them so that they have unfortunate events in life. So the color of that, of course, what do we think of when we think evil, dark, cursing someone? Any color you want as long as it's black, baby.
You were the only one that walked all that logic through it, and for you to get back to your favorite color, it's impressive. It really is. Like
shuffling the deck, baby. That's the trick. Just everything before is just prepping, and then we circle that maze right over your shoulder.
We just circled them. All right. If you could meet anyone in history, who would it be, and why? Is it Freddie Mercury?
Yes. Just yes. Like, oh my God, one of my greatest life regrets is that I will never go to a live Queen concert. Like, those people did not know what they squandered.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
They literally don't do it like that anymore.
All right. Last question. Let me get my breath. If it takes a chicken and a half, a day and a half to lay an egg and a half, how long would it take a grasshopper with a wooden leg to kick the seed out of a dill pickle?
All right. Let's slow it down.
Okay.
Gotta bring it back.
Okay.
Let's see where this takes us.
Bringing it back.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So we're gonna kick the seed out of the pickle, right?
Yeah.
So like, obviously that would be one that would attract you to starting at the end, but I think this is one where we have to start at the beginning.
Okay.
So so everything's working in 1.5 logic here.
Yep.
So we know that like either the universe has standardized to everything is 1.5 times its normal size. But that intrinsically wouldn't usually be true because we're specifically saying a chicken and a half, which would mean another half of a chicken, which means we're living in like a barbaric 40K society where we have halves of things just naturally existing, and that's okay. So like, it's not a good place to be. So given that, it explains why the grasshopper has the wooden leg, because he had to go to the Hopper Wars, which we all know took about 40 to 60 years and was a beleaguered trench fight. And it's the worst kind of warfare. And so given the angst of the Hopper Wars and the amount of time spent, I mean, he probably started a young man. He literally got out of that war because he hit literally discharged due to like service. He hit his 20 years. That's how long the war was. Like, man, you talk about that. The amount of like, intrinsic PTSD and like emotional baggage you're going to carry out of those wars and this universe of 1.5 halves of everything just laying around. Like, it's going to be just a Monday morning. I had to wake up to the world kick is all you need to knock that pickle out, the seed out of that pickle.
Okay. Vash, thank you so much for coming on. If you could just bear with me through some announcements, we'll say our goodbyes. Shit, Jesus. Dragon Spine. We have a whole bunch of people running for Kingdom Office. You should go out and get your dues paid and make sure that you're attending parks so you can vote. Remember, we are using post-COVID things, so you do need to have your attendance and dues paid to vote. Also, award recommendations are up. If you have anyone that you want to put up for awards, the Queen has been so kind to put that up early so everyone can get those awards in. There is also self-reports for battle orders of the battle for Battle Night growth and whatnot. Even though we haven't decided if that is going to be under the sword or its own path, you could still recommend yourself for orders or recommend your friends inside of the word recommendations. Food fight has started. Fire Carlos has reached out to me specifically to remind Dragonspine that there is going to be a raffle, and first place for that raffle would be dues paid for life. So, are we stealing it from the wetlands? Absolutely. Is it going to work? Absolutely. So go ahead and try to enter that raffle as much as you can to earn that. Second place is a sword from Smiley Foamwork, and third place is a $25 gift card to Joanne Fabrics. You should get into that raffle. Also, be looking out for any challenges put out by the Food Fight Committee to your local parks. I believe, if I understand correctly, that this week's challenge for food fights is going to be the cheater game at your local park. So if your champion at the park level hasn't mentioned it already, get on them about it. Find ways to cheat to win. Bring your quarters, bring your dollars.
Vesh, I get to be the canned audience,
right?
Like I get to now back up the. Right. For a second, I wanted to be like the anger translator. Right. Like I'm just sitting there, I'm like, get on it.
Vesh, thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast. You're not our longest KOK episode.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's just slide into like like elementary. That's what she said. I get it. Okay. Like you don't have to bring it up every time.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure you knew that, in a world where there's only been 76 people on the show, you're still not first.
Right. Like I failed myself. Someone asked a question in chat.
Yeah,
Start it back. Yeah. Start it back.
Run it back.
Like we're going around the circle. Take two. That was I just thought the intermission was gonna pop up. Yeah, we just got some water and then we just re-rocketed back into here.
Yeah, come back next week for Vesh, part 2. We'll be moving Rin from next week, so we can have Vesh back on again.
I mean, I'm just gonna steal his slot. We don't have to move him.
Right,
for my style, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'll just say what I think Rin would say.
Yeah.
Just gonna steal that in too.
All right. Well, all right. Until next week with whoever is coming on next week. This has been Kingdom of Kodiak.
Just be me and a twirly mustache.
Right. Whoa.
Yeah, this is indubitably, my good sir. Let's talk the film sports. I dare say, how about those awards?
Oh, Battle Night, am I right?
Oh, goodness. Oh, please, peasantry. It's for the peasantry. Okay. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
It's awesome.
I felt like we had a very thorough, decent, complicated at times discussion.
Absolutely.
I'll remember it fondly.
Good.
I'll carry it with me.
I hope so.
This moment, if it be a simulation, I would have it no other way. Since I got to be here with you, Kodiak.
Baby. Oh, darling.
If nothing's real, I know at least we are.
Yes, we are real.
I'll observe you every moment, so you never go away.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Until next week.
This has been a trip.
Yeah, no, this is the most I've laughed by far.
I feel like it's like 75.5 or something. Like, don't give it an official title. Like, it doesn't really count, but it does. So it's like, I'm like the 1/3 of Harry Potter up in here. Like,
no, you listen, you son of a bitch. You listen. We spent 2.5 hours together. Yours counts. Okay.
You know what? Like, legitimately, about 3/4 of the way in. So that's pretty. Like, we're pretty far, right? Like, we're still just like going. But like, the only thing I will regret, in the simulation and how it fell was that this was not episode 69, because this episode was nice.
It was nice.
It was real nice. And I'm like, man, if I had been 69, that would have been perfection. Like, just slot that in here, and everyone would be like, so here's a good series. 69 is literally just if you're having a bad day, don't really listen to anything that one guy said. I don't think he even perceives other colors. He like literally lives in black and white.
It's just black.
But like yeah, it's just black and then the white like accent for myself. So like that's the only reason. Like I don't actually know what other colors are. It's a serious disability, but you know, just play it all. And then, but yeah, like you know how confusing it is on like the DAG and Battlefields when they start yelling out the colors of weapons. And I'm like, there's only black and white weapons.
Why are you saying red and blue? Shut up.
What is that? But no.
Is it more black or more white?
But legitimately be like, out of this whole thing, that is like the only downside, which is great for you because it's none of you. It was just, man, I'm not 69.
Yeah.
Be the most meme-worthy podcast thing ever.
Yeah, well, you weren't 42 either, so I mean, there's...
I'm not smart enough to be 42. You don't want your country boy, don't know who like granola being 40. The answer to the universe, well, if it's granola, I'm screwed.
All right, okay. Until next week, this has been Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Cody.
Stay serious, foamers.
Goodbye.